What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. Defecting from Konoha 1DF Chapter 1. I want to betray Konoha, ask for flowers, score. Shi Shangyang, congratulations, you are a ninja from now on, this is your forehead protector. I hope it can accompany you throughout your ninja career, implement your own ninja, and go on without regrets. The man in front of him had a gentle smile on his face, and there was some expectation in his eyes, which was the way the teacher looked at the students. Shi Shangyang shook his head, raised his head in a daze, took the forehead protector from the opponent's hands subconsciously, and tilted his head. Konoha forehead protector? He questioned, obviously bewildered. The man in front of him smiled and nodded. Yes, this is what you have always wanted. Because of the war, Konoha needs to replenish the troops on the front line. Even if the score is only the third from the bottom, you still have the qualifications to become a ninja. Shi Shangyang recovered. Third from last. What's going on with this inexplicable dogblood development? What are the strange memories in my head? Snapped. The man patted Shi Shangyang's shoulder with his hand, and solemnly instructed, when on the battlefield, just try to kill the enemy. Now, it's time for you to pay for Konoha. Saying that, the man squeezed Shi Shangyang's shoulders and turned to leave, leaving Shi Shangyang alone in the wind. What's the situation? Is time travel so easy now? After a hangover, the soul wears Hokage in a blink of an eye? Retrieving the memory, he had already figured out the current situation, and then his heart was raised. Now in the middle of the Third War, he is a graduate of the ninja school, and the front line is tight, which means he is going to the battlefield. Gudong. This is the sound of drooling. Before he fainted, Shi Shangyang was already very nervous, but now as long as he thinks about going to the battlefield, he doesn't have to look up, he can feel the big danger on the top of his head. To die. It's the third from the bottom. How capable is the original owner of this body? On the battlefield absolutely every minute dog leash? Positive. When he was at a loss as to what to do, someone called him. Turning his head, he saw a person running over in a hurry, panting. Ya Whitefang Bai, is the graduation ceremony over yet? Goggles, spiky head, black hair, naive, advertisement. It's Obito. He subconsciously followed his memory. The visitor was young, as if he was younger than him, sweaty, nervous and uneasy. Don't tell me the graduation ceremony is over? Uchiha Obito repeated nervously. Shi Shangyang nodded and pointed in the direction of the man's departure. Mr. Dawi has left, and I am the last one to get the diploma. As he spoke, he raised the file bag and forehead protector in his hands. Ah! Uchiha Obito screamed while holding his head, unable to love. Obito, here, a female voice came from a distance. Looking at it, the tea-haired girl was standing on tiptoe and waving her hand, and the smile contained a lot of sugar. Ah, Lin. Obito ran over immediately, but was pulled by Lin and ran towards the auditorium. This inexplicable sense of sight made Shi Shangyang follow him subconsciously. In the auditorium, the girl, namely Lin, held her diploma and read the above words aloud. Obito, who was opposite her, was in tears and couldn't be more moved. This is to prove that this student graduated from Konoha Shinobi School, and that you persevered no matter the wind or the rain. The girl handed out the graduation certificate in her hand and smiled sweetly. Here, congratulations on your graduation. Lin. Obito held back his tears, wiped, and then accepted the diploma. Thank you, Lin. He was very grateful. Clap clap clap. Shi Shangyang leaned against the door, witnessing the scene, and offering applause. Although his mind was still a little confused, he still felt warm when he saw the touching scene in the original book. Positive. Nohara Rin smiled and waved, and Obito hurriedly turned his head, not wanting to be seen by others. Advertisement, you're late. Shi Shangyang shrugged. While speaking, there was a drip sound in his mind. Congratulations to the host for activating the card explosion system, which can drop cards when the target character's spirit fluctuates. The types of cards include ability cards and item cards, which can help the host grow. Close black lens bracket. Next moment, Shi Shangyang saw a red-stained card that fell from Uchiha Obito's body and floated quietly on the ground beside him, revealing an eerie luster. Please select a faction for the host. If you choose the Konoha faction, it will automatically bind the blast card system. If you choose a non-Konoha faction, it will automatically bind the strongest blast card booster system. Close black lens bracket. Shi Shangyang was stunned for a moment, and then thought about it. Does the difference between the two names represent the strength of the system? He is not surprised that there will be a system at this time. After all, he is a transmigrator. No matter how bizarre his experience is, he will not be too surprised, but the choice to make now is very interesting. As soon as his mind moved, the card flew towards him and submerged into his divine body. The body trembled slightly, a little coolness entered the body, and then there was more warmth. Very cool. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Sharingan Blood Follower, unopened, close black lens bracket. Shi Shangyang took a deep breath. He knew it was time for him to make a decision. I choose the non-Konoha camp, D. The selection is successful. It is detected that the host is from the Konoha camp, and within 6 months of the deadline, the host clearly defected from Konoha. Otherwise the system will automatically cancel at that time. close black lens bracket. Dip. The strongest explosive card amplification system has begun to bind. Binding is successful, close black lens bracket. D. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Sharingan Blood, unopened state, has tripled and upgraded to ability card Sharingan, 3-hook jade status. It was inexplicably relieved to find that the two were still looking at him and that they hadn't noticed the existence of the card just now. B**********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************e loud, and he didn't realize that he was not attacking himself at all. Shi Shangyang smiled and waved to the two of them. Don't stay here, let's go. The graduation dinner will start soon, and Obito-kun, please give me more advice in the future. His smile was somewhat inexplicable. Chapter 2 The wool doesn't need to be smashed, he sheds it himself. Ask for flowers, score. So, is ninja running so stupid? In front of Shi Shangyang, Uchiha Obito took the lead, leading Lin to run on the street, his arms stretched back and his legs swaying quickly. Silly. Shi Shangyang swore that it was impossible for a ninja to run away in this life. But the next moment, his brows twitched, for no other reason than the former Fang Yuzebo Obito dropped another card, a light blue card. As soon as his mind moved, the card silently merged into his body. It was as cold and hot as before, and there was an additional voice prompt in his mind. Drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Uchiha Fluid Technique, close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations on the ability card obtained by host. Uchiha Fluid Technique has been increased by 6 times, and it has been upgraded to ability card. Uchiha Fluid Technique, Grandmaster status. Immediately, there were a lot of moves and power-generating techniques in my mind. There were many kinds, lethal moves and dazzling skills. It was the essence of Uchiha's Fluid Technique, there was no other reason. The existence of Sharingan prevented every Uchiha from fighting. Make any extra moves, often like one-shot kills, quite aggressive and fancy. Rejoicing in his heart, Shi Shangyang raised the corners of his mouth unconsciously. Although Uchiha Obito is a cranetail, it is undeniable that this is only a phase. According to the development of the plot, this guy will become a big devil-like character in the future, completely liberating his potential, so the ability obtained from this guy is not bad in Shi Shangyang's opinion. There is no level of ability, it only depends on how people use it. Before returning to his senses, he saw a blue card falling out of Uchiha Obito in front of him. Drop. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Uchiha-style Shuriken throwing, close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card. Uchiha-style Shuriken throwing technique has been increased by 8 times, and it has been upgraded to ability card. Uchiha-style Shuriken throwing technique, Grandmaster status. A few seconds later, a third white card appeared in front of him. Dip. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card in Goggles maintenance skills, close black lens bracket. Shi Shangyang thoughtfully glanced at Uchiha Obito, and then at Nohara Lin, and found that the former turned his head to glance at Lin from time to time. His cheeks were flushed, and his face was sprouting. That's it, mood swings. Shi Shangyang knew that the reason why this guy dropped cards so fast was probably because of Lin. Advertisement in this way, this sheep does not need to be smashed, and the wool falls off by itself. At this time, Obito is really a good person. Thinking like this, the 4th card fell out of Uchiha Obito, not bad, another blue one, stronger than white. Looking at Uchiha Obito's more and more frequent gazes, Ishigami Kwang's heart was reconciled. Drip. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card 3 body technique, close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card 3 body technique has been doubled and upgraded to ability card 3 body technique, skilled state. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang twitched the corner of his mouth, coughed and said to Obito, don't tell me, you haven't confessed yet? You have already graduated? Boom. Uchiha Obito, who was running a ninja, hooked the tip of his right foot to the base of his left foot and slammed into the street. B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* asked D. What are you talking about? Annoyed, Obito got up, his face flushed red, as if someone had peeked into his thoughts, and he was a little flustered. He glanced at Nohara Rin from time to time, observing her expression. Then, a purple card fell out of him, and the light was really bright. The card entered the body. Shi Shangyang trembled slightly. Drop. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Obito Chakra, Genin level, close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the ability card Obito Chakra, Genin level, obtained by host, which has been increased by 5 times and upgraded to ability card Obito Chakra, special Jonin level. The warm current on his body was surging, his limbs were all refreshed, and the increase in chakra in his body made him feel heartfelt pleasure. To put it bluntly, this thing is the foundation of being in the ninja world. Then, Shi Shangyang saw several cards falling from Obito in a row, white and blue, which showed how much this guy's mood fluctuated at this time. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card, Ninja Running Attention Skills. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Body Flicker Technique Experience. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Drop. Congratulations to the host for getting the item card Kanai 3, close black lens bracket. Drop. Congratulations to host for getting the item card, detonation symbol 2, close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card, 5 times the increase. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations. Close black lens bracket open black lens bracket drop, close black lens bracket the corners of Shi Shangyang's mouth twitched, and he felt the 2 item cards. He already knew how to use them. They were usually stored in the system's card bag. When he used it, he could summon the corresponding items from the card, which was really convenient. On the opposite side, Uchiha Obito was clenching his teeth, but seeing that Lin didn't do anything special, he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, but at the same time he was a little frustrated. Shi Shangyang waved his hand. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone, it's a secret between us. B****************, D, who has a secret with you? Obito was quite unhappy, but because Lin was present, he didn't want to over-express, so he could only snort, turn around and hurried forward to cover up his panic. Shi Shangyang smiled at Nohara Rin, who also smiled back, seemingly unsurprisingly. Thinking about it, girls are inherently more sensitive than boys. A girl like Lin doesn't have a clear mind, but Obito's performance is so obvious, how could she not understand her intentions? Seeing Lin chasing after him, Shi Shangyang shook his head slightly. Poor guy, Lina doesn't even drop a card. Your secret love will not have any results. Lin didn't drop the card, which means that her mood has not fluctuated. What does this mean? There is no way out of a crush. Shi Shangyang followed with a smile, but he was thinking that Obito was indeed weaker at this stage, and the cards that fell out of his body did not satisfy him much, so he had to find a stronger one. Like Kakashi. Thinking of this, he looked forward to it. Chapter 3 Wolves Enter the Flock, for Flowers, score. Not surprisingly, the location of the graduation dinner was a barbecue restaurant. It seems that the entire Hokage world, the catering industry is not very developed, except for taverns and ramen, the only food left is barbecue. Shi Shangyang followed the 2 of them into it with an outsider's mentality, and saw that there were many people of the same age in the store. According to the comparison of memory and costumes, it is not difficult to find that there are several memorable characters among them. The white-haired Kakashi, the brother-in-law Might Guy, the sultry Sarutobi Asuma, the slap Yuhika, and the supporting roles of Ebisu, Yamashiro Aoba, Pingjale, Moonlight Blast, and Mai Shiranui on the Hokage's step-brother I don't know Huo Xuanjian. The small barbecue restaurant was almost reserved, the sound was not very loud, but the atmosphere was not bad. It was very interesting to chat in groups of 3 and 2, pretending to be adults with juice. Sure enough, you shouldn't be a ninja if you love a late guy like that. There is no doubt that Hitaki Kakashi was the only one who fired at Uchiha Obito at this time. At this stage, Kakashi hates himself. He can be called the #1 arrogant boy in the same class, a melancholy man, and there are 2 pillars. Number 1. The stance of the second. Who let him die? Have to understand. Unexpectedly, Obito, Kakashi's lifelong enemy, except his brother Might Guy, fought back. D Kakashi, don't think of anyone like you, cold-blooded guy. Shi Shangyang watched with interest, expecting a card or 2 to drop from Kakashi. It's a pity that Obito's sarcasm was directly missed by Kakashi, and there was no mood swing. HMPH, the tail of the crane. Kakashi KO'd Obito in 1 sentence, and Obito ran out of words as soon as the word, crane tail, came out. Hey, Kakashi, that's a bit broad. Shi Shangyang exited at the right time, for no other reason, he was the 3rd from the bottom. Not surprisingly, behind him are his brother Might Guy and Obito with cerebral palsy. The tail of the crane almost turned over the ninja world, and the second to last almost kicked out the finale, as the 3rd to last. Is it understandable to betray Konoha? This ranking is inexplicably somewhat satisfying? Kakashi glanced at Shi Shangyang with a cold attitude. Obviously, at this stage, Kakashi has not learned to deal with people normally. Shi Shangyang didn't care. As soon as he swept the scene, he came to Asuma and Yuri Hong and whispered, "You two, are you dating? Would you mind if I listen?" The 2 of them were startled, and then both blushed and looked away. Then, 2 blue cards fell. Advertisement nice. Drop. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card win style. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card illusion, Narakuchi technique, close black lens bracket. The 2 cards were tripled and quadrupled respectively. The blue cards turned into dark blue. Very good. I can't say I'm very satisfied, but these 2 cards have made Shi Shangyang confirm his guess, and it's right to lose the card due to mood swings. He estimates that with his own words, there is such a system, it's really beautiful. If his memory is correct, his popularity among the group of people in the same period is not bad, and he can talk to anyone. Although he belongs to the tail of the crane, because of his personality, he still eats well, and there is no bloody chapter. Appear. The only thing that is speechless is that the original body is an orphan. With this background, he is also very confident when he goes out to greet people. D. What are you talking about? Asuma glanced at Yuhika before speaking, and then changed the subject bluntly. It's about to go to the battlefield, are your teammates confirmed? Shi Shangyang shrugged. Who knows, it's just to die on the battlefield anyway. He really doesn't know and doesn't care much, because the most important thing now is to get more ability cards and item cards to strengthen himself as soon as possible and prepare for the war in the future. The Third Ninja World War, it can be called a meat grinder-like existence. If he has small arms and legs, if he is a little careless, the consequences will be serious. Konoha does not say that the mountains and rivers are exhausted now, but the pressure is indeed huge, otherwise he would not have sent the tail of a crane like him to the battlefield, which shows how difficult the situation is. And you? Shi Shangyang asked back. Asuma secretly glanced at Hong Yuhi. The meaning was self-evident. The latter turned his head, and the two looked at each other. Another 2 blue cards dropped. Shi Shangyang smacking his lips. No wonder the two have such a good relationship in the back of the plot. The relationship has been like this since childhood. Thinking like this, he charged 2 cards with ease. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Wind Style. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Yuhi Red Chakra Control Experience. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. The 2 cards get quadrupled and doubled respectively. After the two met eyes, they directly ignored Shi Shangyang, chatting and laughing softly as if no one else was around. In this state, whenever Shi Shangyang can burst a card, it is estimated that he will have to burst a purple card to show his respect. A pair of dogs. Forget it. Looking past the two of them, he saw the green brother Might Guy, who was leaning beside Kakashi, head down, doing a headstand. Shi Shangyang stepped forward and squatted down, and asked in a low voice, Guy, did you fail the challenge again? Guy in this state, it is needless to say, he must rise up after a failed challenge, an old story. Sure enough, Guy said in a rough voice. Kakashi's strength is the best tool to inspire me to ninja, and an opponent like him is worthy of my best efforts. Shi Shangyang nodded. He was a little disappointed that Guy didn't explode. Is this a habit of failure? No, gotta get something off Guy anyway. Unfortunately, you can't beat that guy like this. Swish. Might Guy immediately stood up and his eyes were burning. Impossible, sweat is the best growth, and this is youth. Seeing how intoxicated he was clenching his fists, he was completely untouched. Crooked Day, is your mind so firm? Is that so? Well, from now on, I will also become your opponent, and I will also do my best to defeat you, Shi Shangyang said. What? A lilac light fell from Might Guy. Dip, congratulations to host for getting the ability card 8 Inner Gates Experience. Close black lens bracket. D. Congratulations to host for the ability card obtained by the host. The experience of 8 Inner Gates has been increased by 5 times, and it has been upgraded to the ability card. The experience of 8 Inner Gates, dark purple card. Nice bro. Chapter 4 Wow, the Golden Legend, ask for flowers, score. Shi Shangyang was overjoyed. The smile on his face was sincere, because he couldn't hide his inner joy at this moment. 8 Inner Gates, they can be called the treasure of civilian ninjas. As long as you have the ability to open the 7th gate, you will have the ability to single out the cage-level powerhouse. If you are ruthless, you can directly open to the 8th gate. Yes, that would have to die. Not to mention the death gate, even the 7th gate is enough to make Shi Shangyang happy. What is this? This is the guarantee of survival on the battlefield. Using the 8 Inner Gates experience card directly, a lot of unfamiliar knowledge immediately comes to mind, all about 8 Inner Gates. This knowledge comes from Guy, and with Guy's understanding of it, it is quite practical. It's a pity that the Guy at this time is not the king Guy in the future. Except that the former 3rd gate has been mastered by Guy, the rest of the 8 Inner Gates have not been fully understood by him. Shi Shangyang needs to work hard. The good news is that the deep purple color gave Shi Shangyang no comprehension left behind, which also made Shi Shangyang understand the importance of the color of the card. From now on, Grandmaster 8 Inner Gates is no longer a problem. As long as he can survive the flesh and blood grindstone on the battlefield, he will have time to practice. And many more. Shi Shangyang was rejoicing in his heart when he saw a purple light fall from Kakashi. Another purple card, which Shi Shangyang received without hesitation. Dip. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Kakashi's Hand Speed, close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations on the ability card obtained by host. Kakashi's hand speed of printing has tripled, and it has been upgraded to ability card. Kakashi's hand speed of printing, dark purple card. The hand speed of 6 seals per second is definitely a huge improvement for the tail of a crane like Shi Shangyang. This kind of bumper harvest can't help but make him happy, and he subconsciously looks at Kakashi. Strong brother, he has already achieved this step at this age, and he is indeed a genius boy. But, I'm talking to Guy, why are you getting stuck? It is not difficult to see that after hearing Shi Shangyang's words, Kakashi has already looked over. Although his face is expressionless and his dead fish eyes are very indifferent, the situation of the card explosion is enough to show that in Kakashi's just now. The mood fluctuated, and it was still quite strong, otherwise it would be impossible to explode a purple card. Advertisement, really? Great, Yang, I saw you right. Although you are also the tail of a crane, you, like me, have an urge to live up to your youth. I approve of you. Might Guy's surprised scream came from his ears, which suddenly attracted the attention of others present. Many people looked at the two people in the field, as if they were looking at two fools. HMPH, two idiots. Kakashi turned his head away, ignoring them both. Shi Shangyang didn't care much, patted Guy on the shoulder and said, "Then, from now on, we are opponents." "Yes. Rival." Might Guy nodded heavily, gave a thumbs up, and grinned, revealing a mouthful of white fang. Shi Shangyang was defeated, he couldn't make such a stupid move, and then he looked at Kakashi. At this time, he roughly understood why Kakashi had a car crash just now. The mood swings only showed one problem: he cares about Might Guy. It might be a bit of a stretch to say that, but to put it another way, he recognized Might Guy as a person, and now the agreement between him and Might Guy has caught Kakashi's attention. Come to think of it, a cold-faced man like Kakashi is very withdrawn, and it is difficult to recognize other people. But in the same way, as long as one person is recognized, there will be fetters, such as Might Guy and Obito, who may be the only people who can warm Kakashi's heart like ice at this stage. Oh yes, I should also add Lin. When you think about it, things are explained. Shi Shangyang has probably figured out Kakashi's temperament, only Ao Zhao. Thinking like this, Shi Shangyang looked directly at Kakashi and said with a smile, "Kakashi. Quiet there." Puff. Nohara Rin, who was not far away, couldn't hold back and laughed out loud. The one who was louder than her was Obito. "Ha ha ha, Ka-chan, I'm dying of laughter." Advertisement. As we all know, the term sauce is generally used for intimate people's names, more than girls-friendly names, similar to the kind of girlfriends and little sisters, and has a specific method of use. Of course, this word is not limited to gender, but when it is used by men, it is always a bit girly. But Shi Shangyang doesn't care. Obito smiled wildly, covered his stomach and said, "Ka-chan, I didn't expect someone to call you that, Kakashi, it really opened my eyes." Others couldn't help laughing, and some were born with a smile, and the atmosphere at the scene suddenly became happy. At the center of the incident, Kakashi's expression turned cold. He stared at Shi Shangyang coldly, and said solemnly, "Did you do this on purpose?" Under Shi Shangyang's attention, an orange gold-colored card fell from his body. Coming. Golden Legend. Shi Shangyang was ecstatic, but with that calm smile on his face, he took the card without saying a word. Open black lens bracket drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Hitaki Kakashi's ninja talent. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations on the ability card obtained by host. Hitaki Kakashi's ninja talent has been tripled and upgraded to ability card. Hitaki Kakashi's ninja talent, can gold card. The surprise in Shi Shangyang's heart is indescribable. Kakashi's talent is needless to say. Since he was a child, he has been like an open-minded child, the absolute protagonist of the novel. This kind of talent happens to be what Shi Shangyang lacks the most. After all, the original owner of his body is just a descendant of a civilian ninja. The ninja talent is there, but it is quite ordinary. Now, this aspect is made up. Chapter 5 I want to be Chunin, seeking flowers, scoring. Don't be so cold, Ka-chan. Shi Shangyang smiled and waved his hand, looking very familiar, and continued. It's all at the same time, and will be a comrade in arms on the battlefield in the future. I just want you to know that on the battlefield, you can safely give your back to it's just me. Humph. Kakashi has a cold face, and the second pillar is the second, and he has a strong sense of sight. Ooh. Kakashi didn't say anything yet, but Might Guy started to cry, and his tears flowed. Shi Shangyang had to sigh that this guy's lacrimal glands were too developed. I'm so touched, that's right, comrade in arms, someone who can rest assured on his back. I'm crying, how about you? Living treasure. When the others heard Shi Shangyang's words, they were also thoughtful, and soon the atmosphere became lively again. Then Shi Shangyang saw a blue card popping out of Kakashi's body. Obviously, what he said was not useless to Kakashi. At least the latter heard it, and his mood fluctuated somewhat. This arrogant look is really useless. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Fire Style, Great Fireball Technique, Close Black Lens Bracket. D. Congratulations to the host's ability card Fire Style, Great Fireball Technique, has tripled and upgraded to Fire Style, Great Fireball Technique Dark Blue card. Shi Shangyang was secretly happy in his heart. As long as he continued to smash like this, he would eventually be able to rise up. He had a hunch that this time would not be long. Wow, the door of the kebab shop was opened and an old man walked in. What? Shi Shangyang was surprised. It was none other than Konoha's third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. This old man who seems to live in the memories of every Konoha shinobi person. Is Hokage so idle? Are you free to come to a graduation dinner for a graduating class? On second thought, Shi Shangyang thinks it is reasonable. Konoha village is just a village after all. The size and number of people are there. It is normal for the head of a village to walk around. Isn't it all played like this on TV? Advertisement at this time. Sarutobi Hiruzen has not yet entered the old age. To be precise, he is still in his prime. After all, he is still full of black hair, but there are only some wrinkles on his face, and his temperament looks very vigorous. Lord Hokage. Grandpa Hokage. Hokage. Everyone greeted him, and it was not difficult to see his prestige among these children. Even Kakashi, who had a cold face, was rarely relieved at this time. He, it's all there. Okay, let's eat more for today's graduation meal. Sarutobi Hiruzen was wearing a Hokage imperial robe, smoking a pipe, like an old man next door, and walked in with his hands behind his back, with a kind smile on his face. It seemed difficult to associate him with the famous shinobi world. You are the young shoots of Konoha. The new force of Konoha. Konoha will be proud of you, so when you are on the battlefield, you must ensure your own safety. Each of you is precious to Konoha. Sarutobi Hiruzen opened his mouth to talk about the rich chicken soup, or the type of bisque soup that is ready to use. It seems that every word contains the inheritance of the will of fire. Not to mention, from Shi Shangyang's point of view, his words are indeed very friendly and contagious. No matter how many people have criticized him on the internet in his previous life, at least at this moment in Shi Shangyang's feelings, he can feel the sincerity. It shows that Sarutobi Hiruzen is not a politician-like speech, but a genuine concern for every child present. Shi Shangyang watched with a cold eye. Even though he had the memory of his body, he still seemed a little out of tune with the atmosphere of the scene, with a strange sense of alienation, watching this scene like an outsider, but found it quite interesting. He saw a lot of excitement on the faces of many people at the scene, but unfortunately, no cards broke out from those people. Obviously, many people present have heard this kind of words, and they may have become immune. Pity. Shi Shangyang saw that after Sarutobi Hiruzen finished saying those words, he kindly talked to everyone and was very loved. After a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen came to them, first patted Guy on the shoulder, and said with a smile, "Sturdy little guy, you will be as strong as your father." "Well, I'll definitely become a ninja like my father. There seems to be nothing to be proud of to be a genin, right?" Shi Shangyang thought so, and saw Sarutobi Hiruzen looking at him. "I heard what you said just now. You are right. A comrade in arms is an existence who can entrust your back. I am glad that you can recognize this. This is the inheritance of the will of fire." Advertisement. Shi Shangyang suddenly said, "Lord Hokage, I want to apply for the Chunin assessment. This is a time of war, and the kind of regular examinations in peacetime cannot be implemented, so the promotion of ninjas can be determined according to combat missions and self-applications." "What?" Asuma looked strange. "Hey, don't say such weird things at this time," Ebisu with black sunglasses whispered. "Don't cause trouble to the village, you idiot." This is what Obito said, and it's not hard to see that at this stage Uchiha Obito is a loyal fan of Hokage. He. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hand with a smile, and asked, "Why do you want to apply for the Chunin assessment at this time?" Shi Shangyang also smiled. "Because, Chunin is the backbone of the village, and I now have the ability to become Chunin." Shi Shangyang smiled very sincerely. This guy, is he talking nonsense again? Chunin is not so easy to pass, not everyone is Kakashi. Others were discussing. Looking at Shi Shangyang's determined and sincere eyes, Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression became a little serious, and he nodded after a while. "Okay, I will accept your application as Hokage. Remember, the Chunin assessment is an actual battle, and there will be casualties." Shi Shangyang firmly said, "I won't die." He just remembered this just now. As for why he had to apply for the Chunin assessment, there was no other reason. He wanted to take this opportunity to get more cards. This can be seen from the eager expressions on other people's faces. Apparently some of these people also wanted to try the Chunin exam. Chapter 6 Empowerment from the Ninja World, for flowers, score. He is 10 years old now. Yes, he is so young, but thanks to the precocious people in this world, his height is almost 1.6 meters. Although he is young, really speaking, this age is not enough to be promoted to Chunin. A piece of cake. Hasn't anyone seen Kakashi become Chunin at the age of 6? That's the real critique. Sarutobi Hiruzen saw Shi Shangyang in high spirits and full of vigor. He couldn't help but nodded secretly. He liked to see this. For Konoha, every new generation like Shi Shangyang is precious. Thinking like this, Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and said, "As Hokage, I announce that a temporary Chunin test will be held in 2 days. If any of you want to take the test, please go to Mr. Dawi to register." The expressions of the people in the barbecue restaurant were different, but most of them showed their emotions. The corners of Shi Shangyang's mouth were slightly raised. Although a one-man show was interesting, it was definitely not as exciting as standing out from the crowd. He didn't want to miss such an opportunity. "I also want." Uchiha Obito raised his hand. He didn't want to be behind the others. "What an exciting youth, such a competition can't be without me," Might Guy exclaimed. Sarutobi Asuma looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, saw that he was looking at him, and said, "Count me in too." That's it, one counts as one. All the people present participated, and it became lively all of a sudden. Of course, Kakashi is not included, because this guy was already a Chunin when he was 6 years old. I don't know how much more than Chunin, it is impossible to say. I'm so energetic. Looking at you, I feel a lot younger. Very good, I have to maintain this mentality. In 2 days, let me see what you have learned over the years. I'm looking forward to it. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't stay here much. Because of his status, it was impossible for him to be so idle all the time, and he left after trying hard. Advertisement. During this period, the smile on Shi Shangyang's face has not changed. There is no other reason. Many people present are excited, and they are more or less bursting cards. Let's take a look at it. In just a short time, I received it. 5 cards. Among these 5 cards, there are 3 ability cards, but they are all white cards, and the other 2 are blue cards, but light blue. They are the D-level Earth-style rock technique and the D-level water-style water flow technique. Arithmetic adds a little to Shi Shangyang's arsenal. Neither is a powerful ninjutsu, but for Shi Shangyang now, it is just what he needs. One of the white cards is experience in traps, the other is experience in shuriken throwing, and the third is experience in basic swordsmanship. They are all very basic things. Shi Shangyang doesn't dislike it either. He can also lay a solid foundation for himself. In addition, in the rest of the time, he also harvested several item cards, such as Shuriken, Kunai, Detonating Talisman, etc., which instantly doubled his net worth. That's right, it's multiplication, because he's an orphan of Konoha, and he doesn't have much money on his hands. With these things, he doesn't need to spend more to buy and prepare, and it's very timely. Time passed, and the graduation dinner soon ended in a pleasant and eccentric atmosphere. Everyone was interested in graduating, with their nervousness about the battlefield, their longing for the future, and their longing for the Chunin assessment. The atmosphere seemed a bit eccentric. During the whole process, Shi Shangyang didn't try to stir other people's emotions. He was digesting what he had just obtained. The abilities of these cards were high or low, and the high ones were like that of Sharingan's blood. At this time, he did not use them, but stored them. In the card pack of the system, if 3 Tomo Sharingan is displayed now, it will be troublesome. As for the low cultivation experience, he had to get used to it himself before he could completely turn it into his own nourishment, so he returned to his residence as soon as the dinner was over. The place where he lived was not big. It was a small courtyard left by his predecessor's parents. Both of his parents were Chunin. Shi Shangyang followed his memory back home, feeling a little strange, but the strangeness soon disappeared because he set up some targets in the yard and started to warm up. Before that, he first used those item cards. The method of use was very simple. With a thought, the cards stored in the card bag appeared in the injury, and then the cards in his hand turned into rays of light and shattered, and then more injuries appeared. The item on the item card. There are no 7 handles to suffering, 14 shuriken. Advertisement, 9 detonating charms, 2 sets of 1,000 copies. Who got this wire from? Forget it. Shi Shangyang received the inspection and classification, and quickly put it in the ninja bag. After standing up straight, he looked at the targets in front of him with awe. Let's start. Call out, do. In a flash of cold light, Kunwu was inserted on the targets, and the positions were very accurate, all above the bullseye. Shi Shangyang widened his eyes and looked at his hands in surprise. The smoothness of the shot, as well as the strength of the shot, were all clearly understood by the heart when the kunai was just thrown, or it was a subconscious action. Is it due to Kakashi's talent? Or is it due to the experience of Uchiha-style throwing? No matter what, Shi Shangyang knew that from this moment on, he had the confidence to rise up in the ninja world. The 7th chapter belongs to Kakashi's powerful talent bonus for flowers, score. Until this moment, Shi Shangyang finally had the consciousness of being a ninja. This was something he had never felt in his previous life. The specific manifestation of that power made him a little fascinated. Continue. When he was interested, he didn't want to stop, so Shi Shangyang devoted himself to it for the next time. Kunai throwing, shuriken throwing, and being used back and forth by him until his hands are a little weak. The day passed quickly. Although the long-term practice was a bit boring, it made him familiar with his own abilities and was very fulfilling, so he slept very sweetly at night, and he didn't even have a dream. The next morning, after Shi Shangyang packed up, he went to a riverside in the suburbs of Konoha alone. This is the place where he often came to train ninjutsu in his memory. It was open and windy. As for why the wind is emphasized, the reason is that his original attributes are wind and fire, and practicing in a windy area will help him a little. There are not many ninjutsus left by the original master's parents, only a few C-level ninjutsu and some D-level ninjutsu, among which there is only one wind-style fukshu, which is considered his housekeeping skills, which is quite pitiful to say. Unlike now, in a short while at the barbecue shop yesterday, he has expanded his attributes to 4, namely wind style, fire style, earth style and water style. By the river, Shi Shangyang stood still, took a deep breath, then raised his hands across his chest, and quickly began to seal. Wei, Hai, Si, Yin, Shen, Wu. The hands almost turned into afterimages, and the 6 standard prints were completed in 1 second, and the speed was amazing. Shi Shangyang's eyes narrowed and he drank softly. Water style water flow technique. It is said that calling out the name of the move before the move can double the power of ninjutsu. Golem. The river in front of him began to churn, and a wave surged up. The peak of the wave was 2 meters high and 5 or 6 meters wide. With the help of the river water, it was obviously a D-level ninjutsu, but its power was comparable to a C-level water style ninjutsu. Technique. Advertisement, good. Shi Shangyang was very satisfied. Compared with his memory, he was very clear that it was impossible for the original master's talent to do this. The power of ninjutsu to this extent can only show that Kakashi's talent is amazing. Come again. Shi Shangyang seals again. Earth-style stone technique. Boom. There was a gap in the ground beside his feet, and a stone block with a diameter of half a meter shot out from it. Wind-style wind chaos. The wind swept through, blowing weeds within 3 to 5 meters around. Wind-style wind blows. He opened his mouth and spit out a cloud of air, which turned into a strong wind, and blew straight across the front, rolling the sand and gravel. Wind-style wind cut. Laugh. A line of air was blown out of the air, and it cut precisely on a stone in front of it, and the half-human-high stone was instantly split in half. Fire-style great fireball technique. Boom. The blazing flame turned into a tumbling ball, a blazing yellow piece, reflected in the water. Even in the daytime, it made people's eyes bright 3 times, The scorching sensation burned the skin, causing the water surface to rise. Steam, green smoke curls. Ha ha, advertisement. After tossing like this for almost an hour, Shi Shangyang has already felt the feeling of emptiness in his body. He knows that this is because of the consumption of chakra. Fortunately, there is yesterday's harvest. Now his chakra is in among the genin, it can already be called sufficient. After all, it is a special Jonin level of chakra, and it is very good to last for so long. Don't look at Obito being a crane tail right now, but that's because he hasn't gotten the hang of it, not that he doesn't have enough chakra. Don't forget that Obito is a blood ninja, and Uchiha's blood is the top of the ninja world. Even if it can't match the surname Senju, compared to ordinary civilian ninjas, Uchiha's blood ninja's chakra is definitely beyond a lot. Therefore, the amount of chakra after obtaining the Uchiha Obito Genin level increase, the current Shi Shangyang has reached the level of Jonin in terms of the amount of chakra alone. It took Shi Shangyang less than a day to reach Jonin from an ordinary person, which is incredible to imagine. Of course, chakra is not a standard for measuring the level of ninjas. The real standard is based on the strength of combat, but the amount of chakra represents an advantage in many cases. So after nearly an hour of ninjutsu practice, chakra consumed a lot, but it was not completely exhausted. This alone made Shi Shangyang see his own growth clearly. Compared with yesterday, it was an earth-shaking change. Then, let's start practicing Taishu. Shi Shangyang closed his eyes and carefully experienced the feeling in his memory, the experience of physical art that belongs to Might Guy, and the experience of cultivating 8 inner gates. Suddenly, his figure disappeared from the spot, and when he reappeared, it was already 5 meters away. This is the most common instant technique, which belongs to the category of ninjutsu. When Shi Shangyang displayed it, it was different than before. Do not. Split palms, punches, leg lifts, side kicks, waist twists, roundhouse kicks, flips, somersaults, volley splits. Shi Shangyang entered a state of ecstasy. When he returned to his senses, the sun had already reached the top of his head. At noon, he was awakened by the sourness all over his body, and his stomach was growling. Hiss. Shi Shangyang took a breath and had to sigh that the investment in the experience that belonged to Might Guy directly made him throw away the foreign objects and became fascinated. It's no wonder that in the original plot, Might Guy could almost kick the big boss to death in the later stage. There are reasons for this. Clenching his fists, Shi Shangyang grinned. Konoha, I'm sorry, I can't be trapped in a small village. Chapter 8 Chunin exam begins, for flowers, score. The world of ninja is very vast, and Konoha is just a corner. If Shi Shangyang is content with the status quo, staying in Konoha is fine, but the reality is that it is now in the Third Ninja War. Even if he stays in Konoha, there is no sense of security, there is no other reason, just because he is a ninja, he needs to go to the front line. If it was a peaceful day, then he would have chosen the burst card system at that time. After all, in a peaceful environment, there is no need to worry too much about safety, and there is no problem in using time to accumulate, but now it is not possible. Shi Shangyang doesn't have that many time. He is now a little fortunate that he has chosen the explosion card boosting system. The boosting alone has brought him a huge help and provided him with enough confidence. Shi Shangyang has no feelings for Konoha. He is a traveler. It is obviously unrealistic to expect a traveler to have feelings for Konoha. What he has to do is to try his best to strengthen himself first, and then think about other things. After all, the ninja world is not very safe, and there are still old silver coins in the dark, which is very scary. Time passed by. Shi Shangyang master's newly acquired power, and in a blink of an eye it was the day of Chunin's examination. This is a special Chunin exam, which was decided by 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, because only the graduates of the ninja school will take the exam, so naturally everything is simplified. The test is simply divided into a written test and a battle. The written test is easy to understand, just do the questions and answer the questions. There is nothing to say about this. The battle is also very simple, just draw lots to choose the opponent, the loser will end, and the winner will continue until the final winner is competed, and then Lord Hokage will decide the final number of Chunin qualifications based on the performance in the battle. That's right, the final winner of the battle is not necessarily a Chunin. It all depends on Hokage's will. It seems very unfair, but this is the rule of the ninja world, and the genin who participated in the Chunin exam didn't feel something wrong. On this day, in a training ground in Konoha, a team led by 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and 1 vote of Jonin stood outside the field. It was the jury for this Chunin exam, in name. The graduates at this time have already been grouped and have their respective leading teachers. Shi Shangyang was surprised that he was assigned to the group of Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi, and the one who led the team was a Jonin, who was also Hong Yuhi in the team. Father, an excellent ninja named Yuhi Mako. Advertisement. If not for this Chunin exam, these graduates would most likely have gone directly to the battlefield, but because of this exam, the time was naturally delayed. At the same time, the graduates also passed a written test. It is surprising that this year's graduates have passed the written test. Even Uchiha Obito, an absolute crane tail, has performed well in this written test, which is really surprising. Today, it is the test of the battle in the Chunin exam. This training ground is the exam room. Under the simplification, there is no one else except these people present. Shi Shangyang was somewhat disappointed. He also hoped that he could have more audiences, show his strength, and arouse the emotions of the audience. Wouldn't he have gained a lot on the spot? It's a pity. He didn't expect that everything would be so simple, but fortunately there were more than a dozen Jonin and Hokage present to watch, and if you work hard, you should be able to gain something. Beep. A whistle sounded, Shi Shangyang returned to his senses, and a Jonin from Hyuga branch house stood in the field. At this time, he stood in the center of the field as a referee, holding a box in his hand, and said, "Come here to draw lots, and the two who have drawn the same number will be the judges." Opponents, the order of playing is arranged from small to large, and each battle cannot exceed 10 minutes. Sure enough, the rules are simple and clear. This is the rhythm for these graduates to complete the exam today. Shi Shangyang smiled slightly, he thought it was good, it saved time. Stepping forward one by one, Shi Shangyang was naturally standing with his team members. At this moment, Sarutobi Asuma whispered, "Don't be red, don't be red." Advertisement. Shi Shangyang couldn't help but give him a high look. When everyone else was cultivating hard and worrying about going to the battlefield, this guy was still full of girls. Looking at Hong Yuhi again, she was also worried at this time. Shaking his head, a little speechless. "Well, I wish you two get married soon," he said in a low voice, just enough for the two to hear. You be asterisk 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 D. Sarutobi Asuma glanced at Sarutobi Hiruzen in the distance, gritted his teeth a little. Yuhi's face turned red all of a sudden. Then, two cards floated out from the two of them, but unfortunately they were two white item cards, one was a shuriken and the other was a kunai, which could only be considered better than nothing. But this also made Shi Shangyang smile. It seems that these two sheep should be enough for a while in the future. Chapter 9. The first win, for flowers, score. The graduates who were present stepped forward to draw lots and quickly knew who their opponents were. Shi Shangyang got the number 6, which was a good sign, and his opponent was none other than Uchiha at the end of the crane. Obito, I don't know if it was luck or fate. Thinking of this, Shi Shangyang grinned at Uchiha Obito, who was talking beside Nohara Rin, and when he saw Shi Shangyang smile, he folded his arms and snorted. You have to be careful, I won't keep my hand this time. Don't lose too badly later, it won't be good, Shi Shangyang said. Uchiha Obito couldn't stand such agitation, and immediately said, You be asterisk 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 D, I will definitely want you to look good. Unsurprisingly, another card fell from Uchiha Obito, and it was blue. Drop. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Uchiha Style Tightrope Exercise. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card. Uchiha Wire Rope Exercise has been increased by 6 times, and it has been upgraded to ability card. Uchiha Wire Rope Exercise Grandmaster Status. Unexpected joy. Shi Shangyang came back to his senses, just smiled at Uchiha Obito, then came to Nohara Rin and chatted with her. Hateful. Seeing this, Uchiha Obito was furious. Another blue card came out. Shi Shangyang was happy when he saw it. It was a ninjutsu experience card, the great fireball technique that Uchiha Obito was best at. Shi Shangyang accepted it without hesitation. That's it, Shi Shangyang and Nohara Rin were chatting happily, and they made Uchiha Obito on the side very angry. Every now and then, a card would drop out, but unfortunately, all the white cards dropped after that, and they were all a few. Ninja card can only be considered better than nothing. Soon, the battle will begin. The candidates present are all genin, so naturally there will not be too many dazzling things in the battle. The attack method is still very simple, either taijutsu or throwing, and ninjutsu is rarely used. So in this way, it will be very fast for the two sides to decide the winner. The few battles before Shi Shangyang basically ended in a few minutes on average, but for most of the disappearing time, it was Shi Shangyang's turn to play. You guy, look at how good I am, Uchiha Obito said before playing. Shi Shangyang just nodded. Well, I'm looking forward to it, don't cry later. Advertisement. In terms of yin and yang strangeness, Shi Shangyang said that he is not afraid of anyone. How could an innocent young man like Uchiha Obito be his opponent? Just a few words were stirred up, and another blue card burst out. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting the item card, Fuma Shuriken 1. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the item card, Fumo Shuriken, obtained by host, which has tripled, and has been upgraded to an item card, Fumo Shuriken 3. Small profit. The Wind Demon Shuriken is the proud work of the Fumo family in the ninja world. It can be folded and has a huge lethality. Adding a knife is much more expensive than the normal blade. It is especially loved by the Uchiha family. With the Sharingan of their family, it can completely the role of the Wind Demon Shuriken is brought into play. Beep. The battle begins. As the referee Hyuga Branch House Jonin gave an order, Shi Shangyang and Uchiha Obito, who were standing face to face in the field, formed a sign of opposition, and then moved immediately. Both sides used the body flicker technique at the same time. Genin's body flicker technique is very fast for ordinary people, but it is nothing to Jonin, so the actions of both sides fell on the sidelines of Jonin watching the battle, and in the eyes of Hokage. Shi Shangyang plucked too much wool from Uchiha Obito, so he knew exactly how he would react, so he responded the first time Uchiha Obito reacted. It's gymnastics. Uchiha Obito used taijutsu, so Shi Shangyang naturally used taijutsu to deal with it, and his taijutsu was derived from the Uchiha fluid technique that Uchiha Obito exploded, so in Shi Shangyang's eyes, Uchiha Obito had nothing on his body. It's a secret. Seeing that he easily blocked Uchiha Obito's attack, there was no change in his demeanor, and he seemed to be at ease, followed by an abrupt change. The swaying Uchiha Obito's center of gravity was unstable and almost fell. Lend your hand. Shi Shangyang stretched out a hand, grabbed one of Uchiha Obito's, and then changed the movements of his hand, and started the knot with the latter's hand. See. Not yet. State. Advertisement. Hey. Noon. Yin. There are a total of 6 seals. After Uchiha Obito reacted, he was naturally unwilling to let Shi Shangyang get his wish, so he vigorously fought back and tried to get away, but Shi Shangyang completed the seal during the interval between each resistance, taking advantage of Uchiha Obito's swaying skills. Next moment. Fire-style Great Fireball technique. Shi Shangyang kicked Uchiha Obito in the chest, and the latter flew upside down. At the same time, Shi Shangyang opened his mouth and spat out a fireball with a diameter of more than 1 meter, which attacked Uchiha Obito, who had not yet landed. If this is hit, Uchiha Obito will not die or be disabled. Saw. A figure flashed from the field, took Uchiha Obito, who had not yet landed, away from the place and disappeared in front of the fireball. Beep. Winner Shi Shangyang. The referee announced the result directly. Shi Shangyang's eyes turned to the other side of the field, where a young ninja with blonde hair was comforting Uchiha Obito with a smile. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang already knew in his heart that Namikaze Minato should not be wrong. After returning to his senses, Shi Shangyang had already seen a blue card left on the ground in the field, as well as several blue cards on the ground in Jonin's team not far away. It can be seen that his movement just now is really surprising. Even Jonin can't help but feel a little emotional, because generally Genin can't do this at all, but Shi Shangyang does it without any strangeness. This kind of emotional intelligence in combat, most people do not have. Shi Shangyang smiled when he saw this, which was exactly what he wanted. Chapter 10 Get Uchiha Bloodline Card, for Flowers, Score. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Fire Style, Dragon Fire Technique. Close Black Lens Bracket. Drop. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Wind Style. Close Black Lens Bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Water Style, Broken Flow. Close Black Lens Bracket. Open Black Lens Bracket. Drop. Close Black Lens Bracket. Without exception, these are all ninjutsu ability cards, and they are all C-level ninjutsu, and they are ninjutsu of the same level as the Great Fireball technique. It can also be seen that these Jonins watching the battle were indeed surprised by Shi Shangyang's performance just now, but not quite shocking. Shi Shangyang can now be sure that the higher a person's mood swings, the higher the level of the card that will be exposed. Of course, this is not absolute. Otherwise, the golden card exposed by Kakashi will be difficult to explain. There is a certain metaphysical probability. However, Shi Shangyang is very satisfied with such a harvest, and there is still a chance in the future. It's not surprising that Shi Shangyang can win, but it's a bit unexpected that he can be so clean. After he came off, many people turned their attention to him, and Shi Shangyang just threw a U2 at Uchiha Obito. The weak eyes immediately made the latter extremely unwilling. Damn it. Perhaps the mood swings were so strong that this time the card that exploded from his body shone with a faint golden light. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang's pupils shrank subconsciously, and then he regained his calm, and some couldn't wait to put this card away. Drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Uchiha Bloodline Low Level. Close Black Lens Bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the ability card obtained by host. Uchiha Bloodline Low Level has been increased by 6 times, and it has been upgraded to ability card. Uchiha Bloodline Top Level Kanjin card. When Shi Shangyang saw this card, he immediately realized something in his heart. He had obtained the Sharingan 3-hooked jade card before, but he only got the eyes, just like Kakashi transplanted Uchiha Obito's Sharingan in the original plot, not himself awakening Sharingan as just an alternative replacement for the eyes, not blood activation. And now that he has the Uchiha bloodline, it will be much easier for his body to bear a pair of Sharingans. Advertisement. I didn't see that after Kakashi had a Sharingan in the original plot, the whole person became salted fish visible to the naked eye, which shows that Sharingan will be a huge burden for ninjas without Uchiha blood. A ninjutsu can be seen just by gasping for breath. Shi Shangyang doesn't care about any changes in his bloodline. After all, he wears the soul instead of the body. Whether this body is his own or not, he has no burden to change the bloodline. Namikaze Minato smiled at Shi Shangyang and praised. Yangjun, your physical skills are very good. It seems that being Chunin is nothing to you. Shi Shangyang patted his head and smiled. You've won the prize, Mr. Minato. I still have a lot to learn. At this time, many people turned their attention to Shi Shangyang, and the candidates were a little surprised. Even Hitaki Kakashi looked at Shi Shangyang with a look of surprise, as if it was the first time they knew him. Not to mention others. The reactions of the Jonins were a little more bland, but many people looked at Shi Shangyang with admiration in their eyes. For example, Shi Shangyang's team leader Jonin Yuhi Junhong nodded silently, obviously because of Shi Shangyang's performance just now. Satisfy. The battle is still going on. The number of graduates in all this is not too many. They look like they are in their early 20s. The age span is 2 or 3 years old. The youngest is only 7 years old. The battle ended soon, and there were a dozen or so victors, and the second round of battles continued. This time Shi Shangyang's opponent is Aoba Yamashiro, a role model who had a lot of appearances in the original plot. He is a good friend in the same period as the same student, and the two are almost inseparable. Played reasonably, formed the seal of opposition, and then the battle began. Yamashiro Aoba's physical skills are good, and he is also good at fire style. He wears sunglasses. He usually doesn't talk much. If it wasn't for this guy's surname Yamashiro, he might have doubted whether he belonged to the Aburame family. This time, Shi Shangyang didn't plan to use ninjutsu, but to deal with pure physique, and at the same time, he was also ready to show a little more, so that he could have another look. As soon as he came up, his speed surprised Yamashiro Aoba in the field. So fast. There were also discussions around. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang's figure disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already behind Qingye in the mountain city, swept across with his long legs, with a tendency to break the wind. Yamashiro Aoba responded very quickly, but Shi Shangyang was still one step behind in the end, and the hands that were just about to seal the seal had to spread out in front of him. Boom. The next moment, Shancheng Qingye only felt a strong force attack, the whole person flew upside down uncontrollably, his body twisted in the air, and then he was able to land on his feet when he landed. Even so, he slid back more than 2 meters before stopping. Looking up again, Shancheng Qingye was shocked, because Shi Shangyang was no longer in the field. Not good. He was shocked. When he was about to react, there was a chill in his neck. When he reacted, he was already held in the throat by a handle. From the beginning to the end of the battle between the two, it was often less than 10 seconds in total, which was even more surprising than the result of Shi Shangyang's last battle. Sorry, I won. Shi Shangyang chuckled and put away kunai. You guys have been hiding your strength on weekdays. Shancheng Qingye said helplessly. Well, it is. Shi Shangyang shrugged, then put away the blue card on the ground, and at this time, the people onlookers also dropped cards. Chapter 11 Namikaze Minato's talent in time and space, for flowers, score. Shi Shangyang put away these cards logically. This time, the harvest was more than the previous one, at least 1/3 more. From this point of view, it is not difficult to see that his performance just now has surprised these people even more. This is good. And what made him most happy was a card that exploded from Namikaze Minato, a lavender card. Dip. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Namikaze Minato's Time and Space Talent Primary. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card. Namikaze Minato's Time and Space Talent Primary has been increased by 9 times, and it has been upgraded to the ability card. Namikaze Minato's Time and Space Talent Advanced Gold Card. Nice. Shi Shangyang almost cried out with joy, but fortunately he held back. What does Namikaze Minato want most from him? Of course it is Flying Thunder God technique. Although it is not the Flying Thunder God technique that broke out this time, but with his spatial talent, he is still in an advanced state. In the future, he only needs to find a way to get the training method of the Flying Thunder God technique, then he has a high probability of learning it. With the Flying Thunder God technique, his mobility will be greatly improved, and he will have more confidence to stand on his heels in the ninja world. Advertisement. And he also decided, no matter what, he has to get out the Flying Thunder God technique on Namikaze Minato. Compared with learning, he prefers to get it directly, which saves time and effort. In addition to Namikaze Minato's time and space talent, other gains are also good. Although most of them are still ninjutsu, there is also a chakra amount of Yamashiro Aoba, and it has also been increased by 4 times. This time, let that one the ability card has become a Chunin level chakra amount, and he now has a special Jonin chakra amount. If the two are added together, then he now has a Jonin's chakra amount properly. Before going to the battlefield, he had the amount of chakra of Jonin, and with the appearance of the 2 days, Shi Shangyang had a sense of security. The battle continued, more than a dozen people quickly competed for 6 winners, and Shi Shangyang's opponent this time was Might Guy, and he actually persisted to the end. There is nothing to say about the battle between the two. Shi Shangyang still intends to fight quickly, but he does not take it lightly. Although the Might Guy in this period is not the one-kick guy in the back, only Kakashi can win in physique, so the fight between the two actually dragged on for 2 minutes. This is something Shi Shangyang didn't expect. Might Guy's body is very tough, which is completely beyond other people in this age group. His movements are even more tempered, and his fighting consciousness is not bad. If only relying on physical skills, Shi Shangyang really can't do anything about it. Resolve it in a short time. He couldn't reveal that he knew a lot of ninjutsu, because his character in Konoha was an ordinary civilian ninja, and the 2 previous outbreaks were only within his ability. To end the battle in a short period of time, unless he burst out some of his hidden power, but that would arouse suspicion from others, and it would be a bit of a loss. Fortunately, the Might Guy will, and the Might Guy he has does not, so it will take a little longer, and he will still win in the end. It's a pity that he didn't get any cards this time, only a blue card called up by Might Guy. Drop. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Teishu Profound Truth Lionwa Introduction. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card, the profound meaning of physical art Lionwa, which has tripled, and has been upgraded to the ability card, the profound meaning of physical art Table Lotus, Grandmaster. Advertisement. This is not too bad, Shi Shangyang didn't lose much, and he was quite satisfied. The next exam will be more interesting. There are 3 winners, but if you want to play against each other, there is only one person available. Shi Shangyang thought the exam would continue, but he didn't expect 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen to speak out at this time. Cough. That's it for today's exam. Through the battle just now, I have seen the potential of some of you, but everyone is good and has their own perseverance, which is very important. In addition, I announce that today's the 3 winners, Sarutobi Asuma, Shiranui Genma, Shi Shangyang, the 3 of you officially become Chunin. Shi Shangyang was regretful in his heart, but he had to put on a look of joy on his face, and he was similar to the other 2, showing the happy mood of a young man after he achieved his goal. But in fact, he regretted that he would not be able to continue scouring the wool, and this temporary Chunin exam was over, so what he had to face next was the cruel test on the battlefield. Thinking like this, he turned his attention to his team leader, Jonin Yuhi Jinhong. This is a senior Jonin, and he is also the instructor of Chunin and Genin in the village. Because of the tight front line, even ninjas like him have to be sent out. It can be seen how serious the situation on the battlefield has become. Hopefully I can get some looks from him. And over there, Sarutobi Hiruzen added. Next, you are about to face a war. I hope you can protect yourself in the battlefield. None of you are the hope of Konoha's future. I sincerely wish you all good health. Come back unscathed. Chapter 12 Picking up the wool hard, for flowers, score. Sarutobi Hiruzen delivered a touching speech on the spot. Shi Shangyang was out of his mind, but the students in the same class were all excited, obviously being aroused by Sarutobi Hiruzen's words. What is the will of fire? What inheritance? What you are the next generation of Konoha, the treasure of Konoha, etc. In short, you can throw it on the graduates present, just say you guys it's all my baby. After a long while, the speech was over, and the crowd dispersed. The departure world of these graduates has been set in 2 days. At that time, everyone will follow their leading teacher and follow orders to go to various places in the battlefield, and Shi Shangyang is without exception being taken by Yuhi. Red took the lead, along with his 2 teammates Sarutobi Asuma and Yuhi Red. This grouping is very interesting. Sarutobi Asuma is the son of Hokage, and Yuhika is the daughter of elite Jonin Yuhi Junhong. These 2 are the Iron and Iron Hokage family. Often such teams are very important, because they represent the location of the Konoha high-rise in the future. Just like Sarutobi Asuma's big brother, who has now become the Anbu sub-captain, will take over Anbu in a few years. As the son of Hokage, Sarutobi Asuma's safety on the battlefield is naturally important, so there is the arrangement of Yuhi Mahong, the elite Jonin as the leader of the team, plus his daughter, the predictable Hokage daughter-in-law in the future, the team's leader. The ingredients speak for themselves. Now there is a lack of a civilian ninja as a reconciler to join their team, and this role falls on Shi Shangyang. Arrange. For example, Kakashi and Obito, one is the son of Konoha's White Fangya, with outstanding talent, the other is from the Uchiha tribe, and has a special status, so there is Namikaze Minato, a very outstanding character among elite Jonin, plus Nohara who was born as a civilian ninja. Lin, look, this is a standard configuration. Such an analogy is also the protagonist's younger brother in the original plot, Uzumaki Naruto plus Uchiha Sasuke, and then Haruno Sakura, who was born as a civilian ninja, with Kakashi as the lead Jonin. It can be said that the arrangement is clear. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang has no emotions about this. Anyway, now is the time to build up strength. Being in such an environment temporarily is powerful for him, and he is expecting it. The 4 members of Yuhi's Red Squad went directly to the famous Akamaiki's barbecue restaurant in the village for their first team dinner. It was also an emotional exchange. After all, they were teammates in the future, and they were people who had to rely on each other on the battlefield. Emotions are also necessary. Shi Shangyang's performance is very natural, fully showing the respect of a common boy ninja for powerful ninjas. Teacher Junhong, tell us about the battlefield. Shi Shangyang said. Yuhi Junhong didn't know what Shi Shangyang was thinking, and said with a slightly serious face, the battlefield is very dangerous, extremely dangerous. You must keep your spirits up, because any mistake or carelessness at that time may cause you to die. No one there will care about your identity, and even sometimes, your identity will become a reminder. The words did not explain, but the direction was already clear. Sarutobi Asuma, the son of Hokage, understood it naturally and nodded solemnly. As the son of Hokage, his knowledge can be said to be higher than that of his peers, and he knows exactly what kind of scene on the battlefield is, so he couldn't help but feel heavy at this time. Shi Shangyang, however, was heartless, very personable, and said with a smile, don't worry Asuma, I will save you in danger. Sarutobi Asuma wanted to refute 2 sentences, but he saw that Shi Shangyang was speaking the truth. If he refuted at this time, it would undoubtedly hurt the other party's self-esteem, so he could only nod bluntly. You guy, you better take care of yourself first, you are the tail of a crane like that guy Obito. But he still couldn't help but complain. Advertisement. Well, Asuma, you are really ruthless when you talk. It's hard for a girl to like you. Are you saying that? Red sauce. Red sauce. Damn it, you idiot. Asuma's face turned red all of a sudden, and subconsciously looked at Yuhika, and her face turned even redder when she met the gaze she was looking at. Shi Shangyang leaned over to Junhong in the morning, and whispered in a tone that was afraid of being heard by others, but in fact others could hear. What type of boys does Hongjong like? Teacher Junhong, you should, is it clear? Yuhi Junhong twitched the corners of his mouth, showing an embarrassing and polite smile, and he was covering up his embarrassment when he picked it up and said, this. I really don't know much about being a father. Is that so, Mr. Junhong, do you think I have a chance? In a word, the mood of the 2 men and 1 woman present fluctuated quite a bit, and 3 cards fell immediately. Shi Shangyang was immediately happy when he saw it. 2 purple and 1 blue, this wool is smashed, and the technology is absolutely not bad. Chapter 13 on the battlefield, seeking flowers, scoring. Drop. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Sarutobi Asuma's wind style talent. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to host for acquiring the ability card Yuhihong's illusion talent. Close black lens bracket. Drop. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card illusion tree binding. Close black lens bracket. The first 2 are purple cards, the second one is blue, and the last 3 cards have all been increased, ranging from 4 to 6 times. The good news is that the 2 purple cards were directly increased into light gold cards, and the status changed. Become the top, and the blue illusion and tree binding card has also become the Grandmaster. Big gain. Compared with Hitaki Kakashi, his talent is the weak gold card. The 2 cards after the increase are no worse than Kakashi's in terms of talent alone. This kind of gain is definitely not small, and Shi Shangyang is immediately overjoyed. The atmosphere at the scene was a bit awkward. Yuhi really red brows jumped, subconsciously glanced at Sarutobi Asuma, then at his daughter Yuhi Hong, and sighed inexplicably. Cough. Eat more meat. He picked up the wine glass and gulped it down. As an old father, this kind of thing was like tears. Sarutobi Asuma glared at Shi Shangyang, and he didn't dare to look at Yuhihiro, who was even more unbearable, and lowered his head directly. A good meal, stirred up by Shi Shangyang, the taste changed immediately. Shi Shangyang is, it doesn't matter, as long as the wool has arrived, who cares about your after-sales service? Nothing like that. During the rest of the meal, he was the only one who ate the sweetest food. After the dinner party, the team disbanded. Shi Shangyang didn't go anywhere else, he went straight back to his home, and he was about to go to the battlefield. He needed to prepare everything that could be used on the battlefield, and he also had to adjust his state, so there was no going out and looking for a chance to pick up the wool. Time came to the day of departure. On this day, many people gathered in front of the gate of Konoha, including ninjas who were about to go to the battlefield, and the family members of ninjas who came to see them off. Everyone had different expressions and some expectations. Some are upset, some are crying. Shi Shangyang showed an expression that was both looking forward and not afraid, which perfectly matched his current identity and personality. If anyone in the crowd is the most calm, it is probably Kakashi, but in fact, everyone does not know. Shi Shangyang, when I don't say that my heart is as plain as water, but in fact there is not much turbulence. The ninjas present were divided into several teams, and each team received different tasks. The task of the Yuhi Mahong team was to go to the frontline battlefield with Sand Shinobi, where they had to experience a fight. The rest of the squads, such as the Namikaze Minato squad, went to the country of grass bordering Rock Shinobi, because Rock Shinobi was already ready to move. Konoha urgently needed a strong ninja to sit in the past, and this task fell to Namikaze Minato. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang came to Uchiha Obito's side and said with a smile, when you go to the battlefield, don't cry. B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* Obito couldn't be irritated, and immediately became angry. Great. A blue card dropped. Drop. Congratulations to the host for getting the item card Boutique Kanai 3. Close black lens bracket. The increase was 3 times, and the final number became 9. Shi Shangyang was very satisfied. That's how wool accumulates. Seeing Uchiha Obito's reaction, Shi Shangyang just glanced at him half smiling, his eyes full of deep meaning. That's not necessarily true, but if anything happens, I might be able to help, so remember to thank me then, he said. Are you telling a joke? I'm Uchiha. Uchiha Obito snorted coldly. Shi Shangyang didn't say anything more, just patted Uchiha Obito on the shoulder and returned to his team. He did have a deep meaning in what he said. In fact, he had an idea in his heart, but the time was not yet ripe. Yuhi Mako and Namikaze Minato looked at each other, nodded to each other, and then said, tap on your supplies. Yes. Asterisk 3. Shi Shangyang immediately began to tap. There are no 9 handles to suffering. 20 shuriken. 2 rolls of special steel wire. 10 detonating charms. Advertisement. 9 ration pills. 3 volumes of medical bandages. 2 bottles of hemostatic medicine. A family handed down ninja knife. Well, it's all work. Shi Shangyang finished tapping and nodded slightly. He was wearing a standard ninja attire at this time, with short sleeves and 3½ trousers. His arms and hands were covered with special bandages, and 2 ninja bags were slung on both sides of his waist. With a ninja sword and a Konoha forehead protector on his head, with his handsome face, he can see that he is somewhat dashing. Seeing that the 3 of them finished tapping, Yuhi Junhong gave an order. Set off. Yes. Asterisk 3. Saw. The 4-person team rushed forward without any hesitation. Their journey was not short, and they had to reach the front line within the time limit required by the mission. Some are more arduous than this, but it is a test for the 3 young people. Of course, this does not include Shi Shangyang. He touched his eye sockets, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. This ninja world war may be the time for his fame. At this moment, it really feels like the sea is wide and the fish is leaping, and the sky is high and the birds are flying. Chapter 14 Signal for Help, for Flowers, Score. The journey from Konoha to the front line of the war with Sand Shinobi takes about 4 days. This is calculated based on the speed of the ninja. If it were an ordinary person, it would take at least 10 days to travel this distance. The next day, the Yuhi Shanhong team was on their way at full speed, and almost no one spoke on the road. Except for Yuhi Shanhong, who issued an order, Shi Shangyang and the 3 of them were all burying their heads on the road. After half a day, people are a little tired. This does not include Shi Shangyang. He has been alert along the way, because he is very aware that from the moment he steps out of Konoha, danger may appear at any time, so he is very calm. On the other hand, Sarutobi Asuma and Kurenai Yuhi started to be out of breath after holding on for a long time. The first day was like this. After a long journey, I would stop and rest for a while to replenish my physical strength, and then continue on the journey. Except for the rest of the night in a secret place for most of the night, the rest of the time was still used for the journey. In fact, the speed of the journey dropped in the afternoon of the first day, otherwise, Sarutobi Asuma and Yuhi Hong would not be able to persist until now, even the physical fitness of the ninja could not bear it. In the afternoon of the next day, Mako Yuhi ordered a 10-minute break. When the words fell, Sarutobi Asuma and Kurenai Yuhi sat on the ground, panting violently, looking very tired. Shi Shangyang's performance was much better, but his forehead was slightly sweaty and his breathing was a little short. Of course, he pretended all this. With his current chakra amount, this level of rushing is nothing, but his current status is only Genin, and he has to show a state that fits his personality. Yuhi Junhong didn't even have a disturbed breath. Standing in front of the 3 of them, he glanced around vigilantly. Add some food and water. Yuhi really read said. Yes. Asterisk 3. The 3 are very obedient, and in this case, every word of Elite Jonin makes sense. Compared with Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi's gobbling, Shi Shangyang's food looks much better. All 3 of them carry a certain amount of dry food and water, which is not much, but it is enough for them to reach their destination all the way. Yuhi Junhong glanced at Shi Shangyang with a satisfied look on his face, and said, "It seems that when you were at the ninja school, no one noticed anything special about you." Advertisement. Shi Shangyang grinned and said, "Maybe at school, everyone didn't pay much attention to me." Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi gave him a strange look, tired and didn't want to talk. Until this time, they felt that they had been underestimating this guy. They could keep up with the speed of the leading teacher, and they didn't show much fatigue. That alone is surprising enough. It is reasonable to say that the 2 cards fell, but they were all white item cards, which was better than nothing. Father. Hong Yuhi opened her mouth to say something, but was interrupted before she could finish speaking. Call me teacher or captain, it's mission time. Yuhi Mahong said with a serious face. Hong Yuhi pouted, but changed her words. Teacher, if we go to the front line, what kind of enemy will we encounter? Yuhi Junhong shook her head slightly and said solemnly. I don't know, it may be a powerful enemy, or it may be an ordinary genin, but even the most ordinary genin, you need to be very careful when you encounter it. There is a battlefield, not a ninja game place, understand? It was a heartfelt admonition, and he hoped his daughter and her companions would listen. The 3 nodded earnestly, obviously knowing that these words were nothing but a warning. At this point, we are halfway through the journey and have left the Konoha village. Although it is still within the territory of the Land of Fire, it is already a dangerous area. After all, it is a time of war. They may be in danger at any time. Shi Shangyang naturally understood this, so he acted more cautiously than usual. At a certain moment, Shi Shangyang seemed to feel something, and turned his head to look in one direction. At the same time, Yuhi Mako also turned around and reacted more quickly, pulling out the ninja sword behind him. Be careful, he said solemnly. Advertisement. Shi Shangyang also silently pulled out the ninja sword, and also made an alert. Call out. Snapped. In the woods in the distance, a whistle sounded, and then a cloud of red smoke erupted in the air. It's Konoha's signal flare for help. Shi Shangyang said. Yuhi Jinhong nodded, frowned and glanced at Sarutobi Asuma and Yuhi Hong, then looked at Shi Shangyang, and then said, You guys are hiding here, I'll go take a look. Father, teacher, let's go too. Yuhi Hong hurriedly said. Yes, teacher Junhong, we have a nocturne. Shi Shangyang said directly. Let's not say whether we can help. If we stay here, in case an enemy touches it from a distance, it will only be more dangerous for us to stay here. Since there are people there asking for help, what we say in the past will definitely change the outcome of the battle. Yes, yes. The two nodded hurriedly. Yuhi Mako originally meant to let the three of them hide here, and there was a certain selfishness in it. After all, in his team, one was Hokage's son, the other was his daughter, and the other looked very talented now. Such juniors must not lose anything here. But Shi Shangyang's words also made sense, so he thought for a while, then nodded and said, okay, follow my orders. Yes. Asterisk 3. Chapter 15 Fight with IQ, for flowers, score. The signal for help is about 2 or 3 miles away from here. At the speed of a ninja, you can feel it for a while. The four-person team advanced in an array of sharp arrows. In the end, the location is quickly felt. As they approached, the four of them had already heard the sound of metal and iron hitting each other, as well as the movement of ninjutsu. It was obvious that someone was fighting over there. The four of them appeared cautiously, and soon saw the situation on the field, but it was a team of strange ninjas who were besieging two Konoha shinobi, and there was bloodline on the ground in the woods, as well as messy ninjutsu leftovers, and two more. The life and death of a Konoha shinobi lying on the ground is unknown. It's Sand Shinobi. From the disguise of the enemy ninja, the forehead protector, and even the fighting style of the opponent, it is not difficult to see that the opponent is indeed Sand Shinobi's ninja. It's Sand Shinobi's puppet army. Be careful, listen to my orders, you feign attack, I'm here to attack, be careful. Yuhi Jinhong said. Yes. Asterisk 3. The three responded quietly. At this time, the battle in the field is not critical. The remaining two ninjas on Konoha's side are in danger. They are besieged by 6 Sand Shinobi ninjas on the other side. One of them has blood on his body, and the other is too tired to deal with it. Superior. Yuhi Mahong gave an order, and the man had already rushed out. He waved his hand while still in the air, and the 6 shuriken quickly shot towards the 6 Sand Shinobi ninjas below, each aiming at the opponent's brain. The timing he found was very accurate. When the 6 of them were attacking and beckoning together, they couldn't hold back their strength. If they forcibly changed their attack path at this time, then the two of Konoha would definitely seize the opportunity to fight back. Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi are also excellent. They each threw out several shuriken as soon as Yuhi Mahong rushed out. They did not pursue accuracy, but only covered the attack range of the 6 people. In this way, it is just a supplement to Yuhi Mako's attack. Shi Shangyang didn't attack the first time, but glanced around with his eyes. He always felt that the situation at the scene was a bit strange. Advertisement. It wasn't that weird there, but his sixth sense told him it might not be that simple. The ninjas on Sand Shinobi's side reacted extremely quickly. The first time the shuriken struck, a package on one of them's back suddenly exploded, and then the strange puppet shaped like a spider stretched out its sharp claws. After twisting a few times in the air and making a tinkling sound, he shot down all the incoming shuriken, and then rushed straight towards Yuhi Mahong. Yuhi Junhong seemed to have expected it, and when his body was in the air, he slashed towards the spider puppet. I saw the chakra edge on his knife flashed away, and then a real wind pressure slash appeared, directly cutting off the spider puppet's legs. The ninja knife even waved into an afterimage, and with a few swipes, the spider puppet was cut into several pieces along the vulnerable joints on the spider puppet's body. The whole process took less than 3 seconds, and Yuhi Junhong had already landed. The two Konoha shinobi fighters also seized the only opportunity to counterattack, and although they did not achieve any results, they were rescued from the desperate Vice Admiral himself. Sand Shinobi retreated and took the initiative to withdraw the encirclement. The first person had a bandage on his head, and the bandage covered half of his face, and there was a pattern like a ghost painting on the outside of the bandage. He glanced at Yuri Junhong, narrowed his eyes slightly, and said hoarsely, I didn't expect Konoha's reinforcements to come so quickly, and it was you who came. Konoha's phantom red sword Yuri is really red. He said with a sneer. I thought it was Changfengjian Baiyunishan who came here this time, but I didn't expect it to be you. What an unexpected gain. Yuhi Junhong didn't speak. His expression became cold. He held a knife in both hands. Chakra formed a sharp edge on the blade, and there was a faint blood red color, which was the origin of his name. But you actually brought 3 little devils here. It seems that Konoha is really empty. He. Yuhi Mahong ignored the other party, and then asked without looking back, how is your situation? The two Konoha shinobi were panting, and one of them said solemnly, it's okay, we can still fight. Yuhi Junhong nodded. Okay, leave the leader to me, and you can deal with others. Advertisement. Clear. The leader of Sand Shinobi sneered. Is it underestimated by you, or do you think that just a few of you want to beat us? It's a joke, look at those little bastards. Before Shi Shangyang could move, a kunai was placed between their necks, and then 3 people who were exactly the same as the leader appeared behind them. Sure enough, there is a backhand. Shi Shangyang narrowed his eyes slightly. Sarutobi Asuma and Kurenai Yuhi's faces turned pale. Although they were both talented ninjas, this was the first time they had encountered such a situation. Yuhi really red brows wrinkled. Just now the situation was urgent, he didn't take this into account. Now it seems, the situation is very bad. At this moment, Shi Shangyang chuckled lightly. I'm sorry, I might disappoint you. The Sand Shinobi leader's expression changed, and he suddenly had a bad premonition. Really? Hearing a bang, A cold light flashed, and then the two people standing behind Sarutobi Asuma and Yuhihiro, their figures turned into sand and dust exploded, and at the same time, the original Shi Shangyang exploded with a bang. A piece of wood fell from where he had been. Chapter 16 Test your stamina, seeking flowers, scoring. Everyone looked subconsciously, but saw a silk thread so thin that it was almost imperceptible, lying across the tree trunk behind the three people, and the other end of the silk thread was a kunai. It was very quiet in the field, and everyone kept their eyes on the silk thread. This thing is indeed difficult to detect, but all the ninjas present are naturally good eyesight, but they did not expect that in the situation just now, actually it was solved so easily by Shi Shangyang. Da da. The sound of footsteps came, and Shi Shangyang came out of the woods behind Sand Shinobi's side. Swish. Three of Sand Shinobi's side suddenly turned around with a look of alertness. At this time, Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi also returned to their senses. With a bang, who knew that things would turn around so quickly? Involuntarily, both of them turned their attention to Shi Shangyang with gratitude and amazement in their eyes. The man in the lead by Sand Shinobi didn't look back, but his face became gloomy, and he said coldly, I really didn't expect that another genius appeared in Konoha. Yuhi Junhong breathed a sigh of relief and stared at the man. Put away your little tricks, Tsushima Ryunosuke, since you are here, don't go back. Tsushima Ryunosuke laughed gloomily. I didn't expect that the mere name is so small that I can trouble you to remember it. It's an honor. But you are so arrogant like the other Konoha guys. What makes you think I will reply? Not going. When the words fell, he glanced at the few people present, and his smile became more sinister. Well, can I say a few words? Shi Shangyang suddenly interjected, and there was no urgency and tension in his tone about the upcoming battle. He seemed very relaxed. He said to Sarutobi Asuma and Yuhi Hong, the avatar of that guy is handed over to you, so be careful. Advertisement. Just now he solved the clone behind the two of them, but he didn't solve the one behind him, so it was also intentional to keep it. There are several blue cards floating under the two of them at the moment, which shows how strong Shi Shangyang's action to save his life just made the two people's hearts fluctuate. When I can't live, I can just harvest another wave and plan to pass. The two nodded solemnly. Shi Shangyang smiled and looked at Yuhi Junhong, and said, Teacher Junhong, I hope you can help me resist that guy first. I want to use him to test my stamina at the end. As for the others, leave it to me. As if to make his words more convincing, he said again, Tell Teacher Junhong a secret, which I have never told anyone else. Everyone at the scene subconsciously wanted to know what he said behind him. Just listen to Shi Shangyang. Actually, I was hiding myself when I was at the ninja school. After all, if I acted too special, I would be like that guy Kakashi, and every move would bring other people's expectations. That kind of life is a torment for me. But now, after all, it is a war period, since the village uses my power, then I will not continue to hide. Following the words, Shi Shangyang walked forward step by step. For some reason, the Sand Shinobi ninja facing him suddenly felt a pressure. As that's so, I understand, please show yourself to your heart's content, Yangjun. Yuhi Junhong said solemnly. Shi Shangyang grinned, and there was an indescribable joy in his heart. Before crossing the road, he was just a very ordinary person, and the scene in front of him only existed in his fantasy, but now, this fantasy has become a reality. It's really exciting. The words fall. Advertisement. Saw. His figure suddenly disappeared. So fast. The three of them were shocked, and Shi Shangyang was no longer in their eyes, and they could only vaguely see him rushing over. They reacted immediately. One raised a knife and stepped forward to block, the other threw a shuriken at Shi Shangyang who was rushing, and the last one made a seal directly, and they cooperated quite tacitly. At the same time, Mako Yuhi and the two Konoha shinobi fighters also made their move and rushed towards the three enemies in front of them. During Shi Shangyang's forward charge, Vice Admiral held back his sword horizontally and blocked the long sword from the opponent, and then his body suddenly squatted down, and at the same time, he forbore the sword and picked it up, and the whole person had already slammed into the opponent's arms. What? The man was shocked. He didn't expect Shi Shangyang's speed to be so fast, and he made such tricky shots. Relying on the fact that his body was shorter than himself, he actually used this method to approach him. There are many ways to fight a ninja. Ninjutsu is the most common one, but most of the time it is a battle between taijutsu and swordsmanship. After all, chakra is very precious, and sometimes a single technique can decide the outcome of the battle, and now the method used by Shi Shangyang is the most common. It's just that the man didn't expect Shi Shangyang's attack to be so smart, so when the idea came to him, he only felt a pain in his neck, and then his strength suddenly disappeared. At this time, Shi Shangyang got up quickly from his arms, hooked his foot, and the man's body fell uncontrollably. Then he kicked him out, and the man's body flew upside down, while he followed. After its body, it rushed directly to the other two. Chapter 17 Killing 3 enemies in a row, for flowers, score. Shish. Dang dang. The man flew out, with the two Sand Shinobi ninjas on both sides behind him, and at this time, Shi Shangyang emerged from behind the man, and with a few quick strokes of his Chunin knife, he hit the shuriken. Down. At this time, the other person has completed the seal. Earth-style sand moxibustion spiral technique. He saw that the ground under the man's feet suddenly turned into quicksand, and then spun rapidly, and then the thin needles formed by leaving behind shot out from it, attacking Shi Shangyang. Puff puff. Those thin needles had terrifying penetrating power and directly pierced the body of the unlucky ghost. Seeing that they were about to attack Shi Shangyang suddenly opened his mouth and spit out a gust of wind. Wind-style wind chaos technique. This is only AC level ninjutsu, but with Shi Shangyang's chakra as the base, the power of this gust of wind is not to be underestimated. It directly blows the body of the person in front of you, and the acceleration is like a cannon popping out of the chamber. Hit the rear. Unfortunately, the guy who performed the ninjutsu was on his way. Seeing this, the man could only give up and continue to perform ninjutsu, and quickly retreated. At this time, Shi Shangyang had already revealed his figure, but it was a dash forward, and the long knife slashed down and slashed towards the other person. Such a direct attack is naturally impossible. Sand shinobi who came here is not weak. The three Shi Shangyang faced were also Chunin level, otherwise they would not have been sent to Mushu. Leaf performs this task. But Shi Shangyang's mind is very clear. He knows where his weaknesses are. That is, his combat experience is definitely not as rich as others, but he also knows where his strengths are. That is, he has hung up, and now he has a card. Ability blessing, and the most important thing, is your own mind. Advertisement. He has always been a calm person, he understands the pros and cons, and he understands how to promote strengths and avoid weaknesses. Otherwise, he would not have made a choice at that time, and chose to leave Konoha and choose a stronger system option. Now, his composure plays a role in the battle, and he knows exactly what to do at this time. The long sword was blocked by the opponent's kunai. The opponent's strength is not bad at all, but as an attacker, Shi Shangyang has an innate advantage, unless the opponent can outperform him in reaction ability, but obviously the opponent can't do this. That being the case, Shi Shangyang would naturally seize this opportunity, just like he did to deal with the first person just now, with only a small movement. The man's attention was always on Shi Shangyang's ninja sword, so he ignored Shi Shangyang's other hand at this time, and when Shi Shangyang just made a slashing action, the other hand had a small swing. While swinging, several fingers also used different strengths. The two shuriken flew almost close to the ground, and then at a certain moment, the two kunai suddenly collided with each other, and then one of the kunai suddenly changed its trajectory and bounced up, at an extremely tricky angle towards it. Hit the back of the person's neck. Until this time, the man realized that the ninja instinct made him tilt his head and avoided the attack without the shuriken, but the next moment, he saw Shi Shangyang's smiling expression. There was only time to let out a short groan, and the man's eyes flashed, followed by a pain in his abdomen, and Shi Shangyang had already disappeared in front of his eyes. Shi Shangyang walked past him, flicking the blood on his body, and charged towards the third person. All this happened in the blink of an eye. Everyone saw Shi Shangyang's rapid movements, and then the two sand shinobi had already been defeated, and the result of the defeat was naturally killing those two people. So that at this time, everyone else is still a little unreal. Especially the third person, who only felt his scalp explode at this time, seeing Shi Shangyang's eyes as if he had seen a ghost. But Shi Shangyang wouldn't give him more time to react. With a flick of his hand, the man with three shuriken flew away, and then spit out a mouthful of fire at the same time. Fire-style great fireball technique. However, just after passing by with the second person, he had already completed the knot seal, using one hand, still extremely concealed. Advertisement. Call. A fireball with a diameter of more than 3 meters galloped towards the man like a cannonball, leaving a scorch mark on the ground where it passed. With a blazing temperature, if it was hit, it would definitely not end much good. Naturally, that person would not be hit by such an attack. After all, the target was too large, so the sand shinobi dodged and retreated to the other side. But the next moment, a thread appeared in front of his eyes. Not good. The man's heart sank, and the bad premonition was extremely strong. Laugh. I saw the silk thread swung like a whip, and then the sound of breaking through the air came, and the other end of the silk thread was tied to a handle of kunai, like a spirit snake spitting a letter, and stabbed towards its neck. Seeing this, the man could only block it with kuwu, but this just fell into Shi Shangyang's calculations. Caught you. The man only felt something strange coming from his ankle. He looked down, but another silk thread unexpectedly wrapped around his leg. His heart suddenly sank. Just when he wanted to make a move, something came from his ankle. A force made his center of gravity unsteady. Puff. At the moment when his body tilted slightly, a ninja knife flew from the side and directly penetrated his neck. If you look closely, there is a silk thread connected to the handle of the ninja knife, and on the other side of the silk thread at one end, Shi Shangyang stood there smiling, holding 2 silk threads in each of his hands. Chapter 18. I took a big piece, for flowers, score. Shi Shangyang pulled his hand, and with a puff, the ninja knife flew out from the neck of the third person, and instantly blood shot out, immediately staining the ground red. A few people present saw Shi Shangyang's smiling face through the splash of blood. For some reason, they suddenly felt a little palpitated. This feeling appeared for no reason, but everyone felt that there seemed to be something hidden under Shi Shangyang's smiling face. Thing. Shi Shangyang didn't know what everyone was thinking, he was just doing things that fit his personality. Just like in the current battle, he didn't use more than Genin's power, he just used taijutsu, swordsmanship and throwing, plus the meticulous technique of manipulating the wire. Even those two ninjutsus are all sea-level scales. In order not to attract suspicion, he also deliberately controlled his power and did not exceed the upper limit of C-rank ninjutsu. What should I say? It is precisely because of this that Shi Shangyang's actions just now are even more shocking. In the field at this time, Yuhi Mako and Tsushima Ryunosuke have stopped fighting, and the two generations have also stopped. At this time, they have re-entered the confrontation. It is really because of Shi Shangyang's move just now, which is too surprising. Shi Shangyang looked at the cards on the ground, and the smile on his face became even brighter. None of the cards floating on the ground were lower than the blue level. There were even two purple level cards among them. These two cards were from Yuhi Mako and Tsushima Ryunosuke respectively. The rest of the cards were all blue color. Some blue color is quite deep. Faced with such a situation, Shi Shangyang would naturally not have any hesitation. As soon as his mind moved, all the cards flew towards him, and then fell into his body. Dip. Congratulations to host for obtaining the ability card Puppet Control Technique Beginner. Close black lens bracket. Drop. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the ability card Yuhi Junhong Chakra, Genin level. Close black lens bracket. Drop. Congratulations to host for getting the ability card Wind Style, Great Breakthrough. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Dip. Congratulations to the host for getting the ability card Fire Style, Melted Ashes. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop. Close black lens bracket. There are a total of 7 cards, and the two purple cards are the Puppet Control Technique and Yuhi Junhong Chakra. The former is Sand Shinobi's secret, and the latter represents Yuhi Junhong's body of chakra. They are not ordinary things. Is something that will make Shi Shangyang's combat power qualitatively change. The Puppet Control Technique is enough to take the control of chakra to a higher level. Needless to say, the latter is something that represents the level of the ninja, and its importance is self-evident. His luck is good, and he can get these two cards here, but his luck is quite ordinary, because the increase of these two cards is not high. The former only triples the increase, allowing the Puppet Control Technique to enter the Grandmaster level in one fell swoop. Shi Shangyang guessed that behind the Grandmaster, there should be another level, maybe a Perfect Master or something. The latter is only doubled. Shi Shangyang doesn't know whether the chakra card above Genin has the cage level. Anyway, after Yuhi Junhong's chakra card is doubled, the card still shows the Genin level. However, Shi Shangyang is very satisfied. With this card and Shi Shangyang's current chakra volume, it has increased several times. After using it, it means that his chakra volume has almost reached Yuhi's real red. 3 times the current level. This is already a qualitative improvement. How long has it been since Shi Shangyang crossed over? In about a week or so, his own abilities have undergone earth-shaking changes. If it takes a little longer, what level will he reach? Even he can't guarantee this. Of course, Shi Shangyang's current results are also due to his own efforts. If this is replaced by a person from the Buddhist system, maybe it is just starting now. Who is like him, who uses all kinds of means to increase the number of cards, is simply a model of dedication. No one in the field spoke, and it seemed that they were still digesting the results of Shi Shangyang's actions just now, and only Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi were still struggling. Advertisement. The two of them haven't solved Tsushima Ryunosuke's avatar yet, which shows how big the gap between Genin and Genin is. At the same time, it can be seen that the 3 people that Shi Shangyang solved just now have not reached the level of Genin, but in Chunin it can be regarded as the best among them. Shi Shangyang appeared directly in front of Sarutobi Asuma and Yuhi Hong, and without hesitation, launched an attack on Tsushima Ryunosuke. His attack characteristics are still distinct, that is, he is sharp and crisp, without any fancy, using a clear mind to create advantages for himself, whether it is the opponent's attack or the surrounding environment, it may be used by him. Although Tsushima Ryunosuke is an elite Genin, he is only an avatar, and there is not much pressure on Shi Shangyang, so his avatar only fought Shi Shangyang for a dozen moves, and then he found one opportunity to defeat, turned into quicksand and disappeared. It seems that he received the memory from the clone. Tsushima Ryunosuke's face was not very good looking, and his voice was somber. It seems that I underestimated the genius of Konoha. Shi Shangyang walked towards him with a knife, with the same smile on his face. Teacher Junhong, let me try this guy. Yuhi Junhong felt that she had a new understanding of Shi Shangyang now, and without hesitation, she nodded and said, okay, pay attention to safety. If there is an accident, I will help you. Thank you, Teacher Junhong, I feel at ease now. Chapter 19 Against Elite Genin, Seeking Flowers, Rating. At this point, Tsushima Ryunosuke already knew that his mission had failed this time, and his current situation was very dangerous, but he didn't care much. That's how ninjas are. Missions either succeed or fail. Success can lead to life, but failures are very likely to lose their lives. These were already doomed when he became a ninja, so even in such a dangerous situation now, he did not thinking about how to escape. Because Tsushima Ryunosuke saw the reality clearly, if only Mako Yuhi appeared here, then the mission this time would be very likely to be completed. But now that there are freaks like Shi Shangyang, his mission is impossible. Tsushima Ryunosuke has already seen that Shi Shangyang himself is still a little immature. This immaturity is reflected in his fighting style. It can be seen that he does not have much combat experience. This situation is for a senior Jonin like Tsushima Ryunosuke. That said, it's not that hard to see. But at the same time, Tsushima Ryunosuke also saw Shi Shangyang's hotness. This kind of hotness is also reflected in his fighting style. Shi Shangyang's way of taking any opportunity to kill the enemy is definitely not something ordinary ninjas can do. If he were to make an analogy, Shi Shangyang's fighting style, which he had seen in Konoha's Uchiha clan, was so stubborn and decisive, using any point of the environment to fight. At the same time, he also magnifies every advantage of himself and uses it in battle. At the same time, he also likes to show off his skills and use it to fight with a difficulty far beyond what ordinary ninjas can do. This is very similar to Uchiha's style. What I have to say is that Tsushima's senior Jonin's identity has not been faked at all. What he sees is indeed what Shi Shangyang just showed. Whether it's shuriken throwing or wire manipulation, Uchiha's unique skills are used without exception. And to say that the Uchiha family's attack methods are considered dazzling skills, this is indeed not wrong. After all, Uchiha has Sharingan. With the insight of Sharingan, he can complete many unique fighting methods. This is the characteristic of the Uchiha family. It is already a title ninja world. At this time, Shi Shangyang took a deep breath, and then slowly exhaled it. When he looked at Tsushima Ryunosuke again, his eyes were full of fighting intent. "I'm on, the two guys will be handed over to you," Shi Shangyang said softly. "Don't worry." He nodded. The next moment, Shi Shangyang's figure disappeared, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of Tsushima Ryunosuke. Raising his hand was a sharp knife. Advertisement. When this knife was blocked by Tsushima Ryunosuke, who obviously didn't use much effort, and while resisting, there was a sudden crackling sound on his body, very crisp and dense. Shi Shangyang's expression changed, and he lowered his body instantly. Laugh. Several sharp black ons flew over his head, swept up a strand of his hair and fell. Without any hesitation, Shi Shangyang rolled again and left his position. Puff puff. He saw those black ons turning around above his head, straight into the ground like arrows, and Shi Shangyang was worthy of passing by them, which was dangerous and dangerous. Tsushima Ryunosuke swung the other hand, and a black on flying needle shot towards Shi Shangyang like rain, and there was a sound of breaking through the air. Before Shi Shangyang got up, he felt this scene, so he could only prop up on the ground with his hands. With the help of this force, his body rolled several times in the air, rolling up a blade of light, and in the midst of a tinkling sound, to block a piece of black light that hit him. I have to say that Elite Jonin is Elite Jonin. After this fight, Shi Shangyang felt a kind of pressure. Whether it is fighting style or his own ability, Tsushima Ryunosuke is well-deserved and powerful. But don't underestimate Shi Shangyang. When he rolled in midair, his other hand didn't stop, and he had already made a seal. Fire-style dragon fire technique. When he landed, he stepped on the ground, and immediately started with his toes, and a wave of fire was imagined, surging towards Tsushima Ryunosuke. Advertisement. Tsushima Ryunosuke's reaction was naturally very fast. The moment Shi Shangyang released his ninjutsu, he had already withdrawn and retreated. But at this time, the corners of Shi Shangyang's mouth twitched slightly. Seeing that the hand he had just used to seal the seal suddenly pulled, and with a squeak, Tsushima Ryunosuke felt his ankle tighten, and then he just jumped up and flew towards Shi Shangyang uncontrollably. Tsushima Ryunosuke frowned, and he instantly recalled what Shi Shangyang had done just now when he lowered his body. At that time, he had already used the steel wire. At this time, I made such a mistake in my eyes. But he didn't stand still, but moved his 5 fingers, and he raised his hand in the air. Immediately, several black flying needles scattered on the ground around Shi Shangyang shot up, hitting Shi Shangyang's head and chest. If you look closely, you can see that each of Tsushima Ryunosuke's 5 fingers has a faint chakra thread connected to the flying needle. He actually used the puppet manipulation technique at that moment. No. It should be when he threw out that piece of flying needle, and some of the flying needles were already controlled by his chakra thread. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang could only save himself first. After all, he had to wait for Tsushima Ryunosuke to fly, and he was already threatened by flying needles. It has to be said that Tsushima Ryunosuke is just a simple move. He has saved his own crisis, and he can take this opportunity to attack Shi Shangyang again. He did exactly that. When he was in the air, the spider-like things on both sides of his chest shot out a few sharp poisonous needles at the tips, and Tsushima Ryunosuke continued with this pulling force. Flying towards Shi Shangyang, those spider-like things were wide open, and the moment they approached, they pierced towards Shi Shangyang. At this moment, Shi Shangyang seemed to be in crisis. Chapter 20 Kill Sand Shinobi Jonin. Ask for flowers, score. Others may not know what those spider legs are on Tsushima Ryunosuke, but how could Shi Shangyang not know? This thing is the taboo in Sand Shinobi's puppet masters, body modification, that is, to puppetize his own body, but Shi Shangyang didn't expect this thing to appear like this, or that the puppet master will be like this when he reaches a certain level due. The Sasori of Chisha in the original plot did this, as did Chio Obasan, and both of them are the best among the puppet masters. The specific identity of Tsushima Ryunosuke Shi Shangyang is unknown, but he can be sent by Sand Shinobi to enter Konoha to carry out such a sabotage mission. Obviously, his identity will not be too low, so it can be seen from the side that he is a puppet master. This kind of body modification can also be explained clearly. In addition, about body transformation, it can be said that it is the secret of the puppet master. Every puppet master who can do this is a secret, and they are regarded as their own killers. It seems that Shi Shangyang has indeed brought Tsushima Ryunosuke under the pressure, otherwise, he would not have exposed this ability at the very beginning of the battle. It's too far away. Having said that, Shi Shangyang at this time looks very dangerous, and it seems that he will die in the next second. Even if Yuhi is really red, he will put his heart in his throat at this time, and he will subconsciously abandon his current situation. Opponents go to help. But no one thought that Shi Shangyang's coping method would be so special. He didn't step back. The ninja knife shook several times in a row, and then slashed the flying needle that was attacking him. Then, in the eyes of everyone, they saw his other hand shaking violently at the same time, and then the steel wire on his hand was swayed by him, like a living thing, with a cracking sound, but it was like spider silk, it was wrapped around a few of those spider legs. It may be a coincidence, or it may be intentional, the entangled spider legs belong to one side, exactly 4. All this said a lot, but in fact it just happened in the blink of an eye. After the 4 spider legs were entangled, the distance between the two was no more than 2 meters. For ninjas, this distance is naturally it stopped in a flash, but it was enough for Shi Shangyang. Advertisement. He pushed his hand to the other side, Tsushima Ryunosuke's body in midair shifted to one side uncontrollably, and the 4 spider legs on the other side rubbed against Shi Shangyang's body like this. Passed by. At this time, Shi Shangyang was standing with his back to everyone, and in front of him was Tsushima Ryunosuke only. At this moment, Shi Shangyang raised his head, and his eyes caught Tsushima Ryunosuke's sight. The latter was about to exert his strength again to break free of this restraint, but after meeting Shi Shangyang's eyes, he subconsciously widened his eyes, and his body was stiff for a moment. Those are a pair of scarlet eyes, and there are 3 black hook jades spinning in each eyeball. At this moment, Tsushima Ryunosuke's thoughts seemed to have entered another world, and everything in front of him had an unreal feeling. The instinct of being a ninja woke him up in an instant, but it was this moment that made him miss it. The best time to deal with it, and at this time, Shi Shangyang has already arrived in front of him. At this time, it looks like Shi Shangyang was pulling the wire, and then Tsushima Ryunosuke, who was already in midair, flew uncontrollably. Shi Shangyang had to pass the attack on the spider's legs, and then collided with his head into Tsushima Ryunosuke's arms. Puff. There was a muffled sound of a sharp blade cutting his body, and everyone saw Tsushima Ryunosuke's body stiffened, and in his arms, Shi Shangyang held a knife with one hand, and the hand position was at the mouth of his heart. Behind him, you will find a blade coming out through the back, and it is also stained with a large piece of bloodline. You guy. Tsushima Ryunosuke lowered his head stiffly, his face twisted. Shi Shangyang's eyes returned to normal, and he whispered in his ear with a smile, "When I arrive at Wangquan, please help me keep it a secret, thank you very much." Advertisement. When the words fell, he pulled out the ninja sword, threw off the blood stains on the sword, and then retracted the sword into the sheath. Tsushima Ryunosuke opened and closed his mouth slightly, and wanted to say something, but in the end he didn't say anything, so he could only hang his head weakly. Shi Shangyang's blow shattered his heart, and in that instant, all the strength in his body disappeared. Ninjas are far stronger than ordinary people, but they are fatally wounded at their key points, and their reactions are not less. If their hearts are injured, their reactions will not be much better than ordinary people. Shi Shangyang avoided the spider legs, and then stepped aside, looking at the corpse of Tsushima Ryunosuke who couldn't stand in the field. Shi Shangyang smiled at Yuhi. At this time, the other 2 Sand Shinobi ninjas saw that their boss died, but they seemed to be crazy, and they attacked Yuhi Mako and the others, completely disregarding themselves, and forcibly broke out. But the gap between the ninjas can sometimes not be made up by bloody bravery at all. Yuhi Junhong is Konoha's elite Jonin, and naturally has the strength that elite Jonin should have. To solve the 2 Sand Shinobi ninjas, there is no waste. How strong he is. Each of his cuts had blood red light and shadows, not gorgeous, but very sharp and ruthless, making Shi Shangyang's eyes a little hot. As far as Shi Shangyang knows, like the famous Konoha shinobi in Yuhi Mako's generation, almost all of them are master swordsmen, especially Konoha's White Fangya Hitaki Tsukumo, followed by Tsushima Ryunosuke before. The Changfeng sword Bei Yun Yeshin, who had carried the sword, and the phantom red sword Yuri Junhong were all the cards of that generation of Konoha shinobi. It's a pity that Konoha's White Fangya Hitaki Tsukumo is dead, and Shi Shangyang doesn't know the long wind sword, so the swordsmanship he can use now is only what Yuhi Junhong has in his hands, he wants it. Chapter 21 Arriving at the front line, for flowers, score. If you don't say what you want, Shi Shangyang only has this idea, and when Yuhi is really red, a purple card is revealed, or a dark purple one. Dip. Congratulations to host for obtaining the swordsmanship experience proficiency of the ability card Yuhi Mahong. Close black lens bracket. Shi Shangyang was overjoyed, this express card is in a state of proficiency as soon as it comes up. If it were increased several times, wouldn't it be a big profit? Dip. Congratulations to the ability card. Yuhi Mahong's swordsmanship experience proficiency obtained by the host has been increased by 5 times, and it has been upgraded to the ability card. Yuhi Mahong's swordsmanship experience perfect. This. Shi Shangyang almost burst out laughing, as he thought, his ability is still one level after Grandmaster, and it is perfect. Does this mean that Yuhi's swordsmanship experience makes him a perfect master? Can't go wrong. He used this card without any hesitation, and all of a sudden there were countless experiences in his mind, all of which were Yuhi Junhong's swordsmanship experience, none of which was useless. Fortunately, using the card, the outside world can't see anything. At this time, Shi Shangyang's face is smiling, with obvious joy, and it falls in the eyes of others. He just thinks that he has solved a few enemies and perfectly shows his ability. And rejoice. Yuhi really red returned to the scabbard, came over and patted Shi Shangyang's shoulder, and said with emotion, "You are indeed a genius. It seems that what you said before was a little conservative. You were not only in the ninja school period hidden power, but never showed it. But now it is very good, can show his ability at a critical moment. Yangjun, the future of Konoha will be handed over to you." Advertisement. As if thinking of something, Yuhi Mako said to Sarutobi Asuma and Yuhi Hong again, "Of course, Konoha's future also needs you to bear." Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi were shocked by Shi Shangyang's strength just now. At this time, when they heard the words of Jin Hong Yuhi, they were immediately encouraged and nodded with a serious expression on their faces. Shi Shangyang didn't say anything, just nodded, and then said, "Teacher Junhong, what are we going to do now?" He showed his strength, and the next step is to continue to maintain his personality, not to take the initiative to give any opinions, just be a new and tender rookie who is fighting for the first time. Mako Yuhi chatted with the 2 Konoha shinobi fighters before learning what happened. The 2 Konoha shinobi members are members of a patrol team, and their task is to patrol the area to ensure that the war from the outside will not affect the Konoha village itself, which is one of the village's outer defenses. I happen to meet this group of people from San Shinobi here today, which can be said to be lucky or unfortunate. Fortunately, they were waiting for reinforcements from Yuhi Red Squad, but unfortunately, 2 of their members died in the battle. However, being able to thwart a San Shinobi conspiracy and keep all the San Shinobi ninjas is the best result for them. These San Shinobi have just entered the country of fire and have not touched them before. The team that has been to Konoha is directly damaged here, which is a good thing for Konoha. I know Ryunosuke Tsushima. He is a sub-captain of San Shinobi's puppet cloth team, and he is also a powerful figure among San Shinobi. With this victory, San Shinobi should be very distressed. One of the Konoha Shinobi followers. In the ninja world, the powerhouses of various ninja villages have information circulating in almost other ninja villages, such as this Tsushima Ryunosuke. Similarly, the information of Yuhi Junhong is not a secret in other ninja villages. Advertisement. In other words, if Shi Shangyang leaked information about him after this battle, his information would definitely be placed on the desks of other ninja villages in a short period of time. This kind of thing is commonplace in the ninja world. Yuhi Junhong nodded when he heard the words. He naturally knew about Tsushima Ryunosuke, and said, "We still have tasks to perform, and the rest of the processing will be left to you. Take their bodies back and see if we can harvest them from them." What information? Yes, Senior True Red. The 2 responded. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang began to take the initiative to clean up the battlefield. He had used a lot of ninja tools just now, and he naturally had to recycle them at this time, especially those steel wires. At this stage, the Uchiha-style throwing technique and Uchiha-style wire handling ability have an effect on him. Very large, such a disguise is very suitable for him until he fully reveals all his abilities. At the end of the battle, Shi Shangyang gained a lot. It can even be said that the harvest from a battle is almost comparable to the harvest in the village before. And the puppet manipulation technique was his biggest gain this time. The squad tidied up for a while, then separated from the Konoha Shinobi and continued on their way to the front. Only this time, the team has become much more cautious. I don't know if it is Shi Shangyang, even with Sarutobi Asuma and Yuhi Hong. After a battle, although the 2 did not help much, their mentality has become obvious. Changes have become urgent. That's it, almost 2 days later, they finally reached their destination. Chapter 22. The Battlefield Wool Shedding Project, for Flowers, Score. They did not reach the battlefield directly, but entered the Konoha base on the front line, or a stronghold is more accurate. There are not many people in the base, about 30 people, but although the Sparrow is small, it has all the internal organs, and the logistics are very sufficient. There are also special medical ninjas, and the configuration is very complete. When they got here, the 4 of them were relieved. They didn't stop much along the way. After a long journey, even Shi Shangyang was a little tired, not physically, but mentally. There are several tents in the stronghold, 2 of which are for medical purposes. Through the curtains of the tents, you can see the wounded lying on the simple beds. Some of the wounded are missing arms and legs, and the atmosphere is very dignified. Shi Shangyang raised his eyebrows when he saw a medical ninja who was using healing jutsu. He felt that this ability was very useful, and he immediately had some ideas. But now is not the time, there should be a chance to get medical ninjutsu in the future. The person in charge of the stronghold is also an elite Jonin, and he is also a Jonin of the Nara clan. The Nara clan is known as the wise clan in Konoha, not to mention that they are all geniuses with high IQ, but there are indeed no stupid people, so the people in this clan are the leader. The status in Konoha is not low. Jun, how is the situation on the front line? Yuhi Mahong submitted the task procedures, and then asked. The ninja named Nara Jun is about the same age as Yuhi Mahong, with his hair tied up at the back of his head and dressed in a standard Nara clan. Hearing this, he frowned and said, the situation is not very good, and San Shinobi doesn't know what happened recently. Crazy. The offensive is much stronger than before, like a mad dog, completely ignoring its own losses. I haven't figured out why. After hearing the words, Yuhi Mahong thought for a moment and said, is it possible that there is something wrong with San Shinobi? Nara Jun nodded. According to the limited intelligence analysis, this situation is most likely, but there is no specific intelligence for the time being, so it is difficult to draw a conclusion. Yuhi Jinhong nodded slightly, and then smiled. It doesn't matter, I should be able to help. In addition, you may not know that there is a real genius in my team. I believe that if he grows up, it is very likely that he will be a strong man comparable to Sun Mao. Advertisement. Nara Jun was a little surprised when he heard the words, what are you saying is true? Of course it's true. As he spoke, he recounted what happened on the way, emphasizing Shi Shangyang's performance in the battle. Hey, it seems that what you said may be a bit conservative. Nara Jun praised. Yuhi Jinhong just laughed. He is a relatively old-fashioned ninja, and he can show a smile at this time, which shows his recognition and expectations for Shi Shangyang. I know that guy Tsushima Ryunosuke, the famous guy in San Shinobi, because of the relationship between puppet art is notoriously difficult. I didn't expect to fall into the hands of that little guy. I think it's incredible. Could it be he is there some kind of blood successor? This is a reasonable suspicion. Shi Shangyang is only a civilian ninja. According to normal understanding, the natural potential of the blood ninja is higher than that of the civilian ninja. It is normal to have such a conjecture. Yuri Junhong shook her head. Yangjun is a real genius. I haven't found any signs of blood in him. Of course, it is also possible that he has concealed something in this regard. After all, he has always concealed his own children at the ninja school. It's normal to think deeply. You said that. I'm a little interested in him. Can you let me meet? He asked. Certainly. Yuhi Jinhong went out and called Shi Shangyang in. As soon as he entered the door, Shi Shangyang knew that the person in front of him was from the Nara clan through his iconic hairstyle and a kind of laziness that came from his bones. Yuhi Jinhong introduced it, and Shi Shangyang knew that this person was the person in charge of this stronghold and the planner of this front. Master Jun. Shi Shangyang greeted. Nara Jun looked at Shi Shangyang carefully, and smiled after a while. Yang Jun, do you have a blood sire? Advertisement. Shi Shangyang was startled, thought for a moment, and then said, yes, Lord Jun. When he came here, Shi Shangyang knew that it was difficult to hide the blood on his body. This is not Konoha. He will face the war directly here, and the risk factor will increase sharply. It is also a necessity to expose Sharingan at the time. This way, there is no need to hide it. Yuhi Junhong was stunned when she heard the words, and then carefully looked at Shi Shangyang. He came all the way and did not see any signs of the bloodline boundary on Shi Shangyang, so he couldn't help but become curious. Can you tell me what your blood successor is? He asked again. Shi Shangyang shook his head, and then said, I'm sorry, I may reveal the blood in the next battle, but right now. I don't want to reveal my intelligence. To disclose that he has a blood follower, but not to disclose that he has a Sharingan, what he did is naturally used for wool. Just imagine, when Shi Shangyang suddenly revealed his Sharingan in an anxious battle, it would surprise the enemy and his own people. It's okay for the enemy to say that Sharingan is the blood follower of the famous ninja world, so there is no need to explain any surprise or shock. It's even more interesting on my own side. You have to know that Shi Shangyang is a commoner ninja. His surname is Shishang, but now he has a Sharingan blood descendant. This sense of absurdity will naturally make Konoha's people's mood fluctuate. If you think about Shi Shangyang again, if it wasn't for Uchiha's lost tribe, there would naturally be more wool. Shi Shangyang will not miss any opportunity to strengthen himself. Every wool is precious to him now. Chapter 23 The Essence of the Ninja World, Seeking Flowers, Scoring. Both of them understood Shi Shangyang's thoughts, so they didn't ask any further questions. Their own information was extremely important to a ninja. Both of them knew very well, so they ended the topic. Nara Jun said, it doesn't matter, this is your secret, we will not force you to say it, since you have come to the front line, then there will be very important tasks for you next, but today, let's take a day off. Quote. Yuhi Mahong nodded as well, patted Shi Shangyang on the shoulder, and gave him an encouraging smile. Shi Shangyang nodded with a smile, accepting the kindness of the two. He then left. The two of them looked at his back, and then looked at each other. They both tacitly did not talk more about this matter, but talked about the situation on the front line recently. Konoha and San Shinobi are not directly adjacent to each other. Between the two kingdoms of wind and fire, there are also small countries such as the country of river, the country of rain and the country of grass. These small countries are the buffers left by the big countries. In order to avoid a war, the two sides will directly attack each other's territory, resulting in a situation that is truly impossible to stop. But in this way, the ultimate suffering will be borne by these small countries, and there is a noble system in the ninja world. In the eyes of the nobles, ninjas are tools, ordinary people are labor, and both serve the nobles themselves. Shangyang appears to be a very deformed relationship. Even the relationship between Konoha and the Kingdom of Fire is the same. It is hard for Shi Shangyang to imagine what he thought when first Hokage established Konoha, saying that the era of Sengoku ended, but the intensity of war in the current shinobi village era but even more terrifying. In the Sengoku period in the past, war was just a war between families, and it might affect ordinary people, but it was definitely not in the eyes of it now. The current ninja village model is a full-scale war between countries. For ordinary people, this is truly terrifying. As soon as the war appeared, countless people were displaced and countless people died in various battles. Ninjas are still tools, and this attribute has not changed in any way. The establishment of a ninja village is more about connecting families together to form a larger ninja clan, and the nature has not changed. Some people may not believe it. Under the current ninja village model, there is no affiliation between ninja village and Guojia, but an employment relationship. Isn't it weird? The Fire Country Daimyo allocates funds to Konoha village every year, and everything in Konoha village is determined by Hokage. Hokage and Daimyo have nothing to do with each other. For the country of fire, when there is something to do, it will be sent directly to Konoha. The reward is settled after the task is completed. This is the way of life of Konoha. No matter how you look at it, it is an abnormal state. Advertisement. But this is the rule of the ninja world. It was created by first Hokage Senju Hashirama, and was adopted by other Guojia in a short time. They established their own ninja villages, and also established their own ninja training mechanism. The role played to ultimate. This is the current ninja world. Even if it is peace, it is just a deformed and sick peace. Shi Shangyang knew this from the very beginning, so he had no sense of identity with Konoha, even if he completely accepted the memories and emotions of his predecessor. It was the same, just because he was rational, and his rationality made him out of tune with this world. There is some serious disease in this world, otherwise the social structure can't be so weird. There is no health at all, everything speaks with power, and ordinary people are only units responsible for production in the eyes of ninjas, and their status has nothing to do with cattle and sheep. The difference, although not as extreme, is not much different. It is precisely because of this understanding that Shi Shangyang knew that when he betrayed Konoha, he would not have the slightest psychological pressure at all. On the contrary, compared to first Hokage Senju Hashirama, he appreciates Uchiha Madara more. Although this guy has some extreme ideas and some brainless ways, he clearly recognizes the essence of the peace under the surface of the ninja world. That kind of deformed peace will collapse one day, so he will eventually leave Konoha, and he wants to use his own method to make the ninja world achieve real peace. It's a pity that this is a tragic baby, who has been fooled for a lifetime, and in the end, he is still digging his heart, which is really miserable. Shi Shangyang really wanted to meet Uchiha Madara and have a good conversation with him about the peaceful world of the ninja world. Of course, it would be better if he could pick up some wool or something. After getting too far, Shi Shangyang left from Narajun and went directly back to the temporary station of his team, and then told Sarutobi Asuma and Hong Yuhi to have a good rest for a day, and there might be a mission soon. The two of them seemed a little nervous. After all, this place is already a front line, and it is far more dangerous than being in Konoha. They may encounter battles at any time, and as Genin, the degree of danger is not to mention, the two of them can't do it at all. Shi Shangyang is so calm. Don't worry, if it's really dangerous, I will protect you, but don't be too moved. Shi Shangyang smiled in relief. The two wanted to laugh, but couldn't. After lying down, they wanted to close their eyes and rest, but their minds were full of pictures of war. Shi Shangyang was not as sentimental as the two of them, so he lay down on the ground and fell asleep shortly after, feeling extremely relieved. Chapter 24 Sand Shinobi is coming, for flowers, score. The changes in the battle were extremely sudden. That night, Shi Shangyang woke up suddenly, turned over in an instant, sorted out his various utensils as quickly as possible, and rushed out of the tent. At this time, except for the person in charge of the night watch, everyone else in the stronghold has already slept. This is one of the many strongholds on the front line. There are people who have retired from the front line and those who are about to go to the front line. Therefore, everyone here there is one characteristic, that is, fatigue, so this time in the early morning is also the easiest time to relax. The reason why Shi Shangyang woke up was because he suddenly felt heart palpitations for some unknown reason, which woke him up from his dream in an instant. Sometimes people's sixth sense is very mysterious, but Shi Shangyang believes in his own sixth sense, because it is a kind of feeling that the ninja chakra naturally has after reaching a certain amount. It can be understood as the perception ninja has on chakra. At this time, Shi Shangyang felt a faint chakra, which was very hidden. His movement naturally awakened others, because he had not concealed his movements. Who, accompanied by the sound of breaking through the air, two Konoha shinobi people placed Shi Shangyang in the middle one after the other. The three of them were less than 1 meter apart. It's me. Shi Shangyang didn't explain too much, but looked in one direction, frowning slightly. I don't feel right, he continued. The expressions of the two of them changed slightly. They were both Konoha's elites. They knew that sometimes the ninja's sensing was very accurate, so they reacted subconsciously. Both of them turned to look in the direction Shi Shangyang was looking at, trying to find something from there, but they found nothing. At this time, Yuhi Mako and Narajun also appeared next to them. The two were elite Jonin, and there was a lot of vigilance. Yangjun, what happened? Yuhi Jinhong asked. Shi Shangyang said solemnly, it's too quiet. Hearing this, Mako Yuhi and Narajun both changed their expressions slightly, and the latter blew the whistle directly. Advertisement. Beep. The sharp whistle sounded extremely harsh on the silent night, and the small stronghold came alive in an instant, and Konoha's ninjas became alert one by one, and began to deploy according to past experience. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang breathed a sigh of relief, and then said to Yuhi Junhong, Teacher Junhong, if I didn't feel wrong just now, there was an extremely hidden chakra that disappeared in that direction. Yuhi Junhong naturally wouldn't doubt Shi Shangyang's words, because he knew that Shi Shangyang wouldn't make a joke at this time. It's close to the front line, and any situation may arise. Shi Shangyang has absolutely no need to lie. He nodded slightly to Narajun, and then said to Shi Shangyang, let's go have a look together. It is good. Shi Shangyang knew that Yuhi Mako said this because of his confidence in him, and did not regard him as a Chunin, but as a Jonin who could communicate with him on an equal footing. Saw. The two disappeared at the same time and rushed in that direction, moving extremely quickly. There is no need for Shi Shangyang to worry about the stronghold. With Narajun there, he knows how to deal with danger. Shi Shangyang and Yuhi Junhong quickly got into the woods. At this time, it was the early morning, and it was the darkest time. The sky was covered by thick clouds, and there was no moonlight. The two could only barely survive in the darkness. Sight. For safety, Shi Shangyang turned on Sharingan directly after entering the woods. Sharingan's insight has an extremely powerful advantage in this case, and Shi Shangyang's eyes are still three-goose jade, which can be said to have reached the limit of insight under Mangekyo. He squinted slightly, and his eyes glanced around. Everywhere, although the sky was dark, he could still see things clearly. That kind of feeling can't be wrong, because after entering the forest, he found that there are no insects here, there is no such quiet in the forest, obviously this is not normal. Yuhi Mahong also discovered this situation. He has more experience than Shi Shangyang. When he saw this situation, he immediately had a guess. Only many people, or powerful people, can make the sound of insects disappear under such circumstances. As soon as these words fell, Shi Shangfeng suddenly threw out a few shuriken. Advertisement. Ding ding ding. The shuriken collided with each other in midair, sparks shot out, and then shot towards the depths of the woods. In the moment just now, Shi Shangyang remembered the shimmering light of Hokage and saw everything around him clearly. Be careful, he immediately warned, and then flew to the direction of Yuhi's real red, because at that moment, he saw several strange-shaped things. Those things were hideous, some resembled animals, and some recognized each other, giving people a very strange feeling. But Shi Shangyang had already recognized what those things were. Puppet. There are indeed people hiding in it, and the people who come here are indeed from Sand Shinobi's side. As for why they didn't directly rush into the stronghold just now, it is probably because Shi Shangyang's sudden sobriety directly disrupted the other party's plan, so he chose to take advantage of the situation. Hidden here. The reason why Shi Shangyang rushed towards Yuhi Junhong was that he had just seen a snake-like puppet sticking its head out of Yuhi Junhong's side, silently moving towards Yuhi Junhong's ankle. Bite. Yuhi Mahong has already felt the sense of crisis, but even if he is elite Jonin, he is still a half-beat slow in this dark situation. Saw. Laugh. The sound of the wind breaking and the sound of the blade cutting through the air sounded at the same time. Shi Shangyang appeared beside Yuhi Junhong, and the lion majesty-like puppet was beheaded by him. It's Sand Shinobi's puppet team. He said. Chapter 25 Jonin is no match, seek flowers, score. Shi Shangyang didn't expect that when he came here, he could meet the people of Sand Shinobi's puppet team, which really surprised him. At the same time, he is also more vigilant. Now he has mastered the puppet manipulation technique, and it is precisely because of this that he is particularly aware of the difficulties of puppet masters. The best of them are absolutely unpredictable in the battlefield. Exist. Yuhi Junhong has already reacted, and she flew backwards seasoned ly, opening a distance in an instant. Just now, if it wasn't for Shi Shangyang, he might have followed the opponent's way. Although he might not be defeated, he would definitely suffer damage. In that case, if it takes a long time, the ending will be difficult to say. Shish. At this moment, a flying needle shot like a rain curtain. There was little movement, but it fell into the ears of the two people, but it was clearly discernible. They didn't even have to look up. Just relying on the sound, the two of them could be heard. Know how to dodge. Yuhi is really red because of Jonin's instinct after countless battles, while Shi Shangyang is purely open-minded, with a lot of abilities and various experiences on his body. It is simply easy to deal with this kind of scene. The two took a few steps back to the sides, and they easily avoided the attack of this flying needle. The enemy's attack also arrived at the same time, and they were at the side of the two from a few points. It was obvious that someone had already been ambushed here. Caw caw caw. The unique sound of the puppet appeared, and with the sound of breaking the air, the two shadows rushed towards each of them so quickly, apparently intending to knock down or trap the two, which was the usual method of the puppet master. But the other party obviously forgot that both of them are masters of swordsmanship, and Yuhi Junhong has the name of the Phantom Red Sword. Shi Shangyang, Then needless to say, what kind of red Yuri looks like, naturally he is not bad at all in terms of swordsmanship. Jingle jingle. The two of them waved their ninja swords almost instinctively, and they resisted the puppets that rushed towards them. Sand Shinobi's puppets, the 5 flowers 8 gate, had different shapes, some like people, some like animals, and some simply like insects. The attack methods are also extremely complicated. Poisonous needles, poisonous smoke, fire breathing, etc. are only pediatrics. What's more, they can also perform ninjutsu, which is really difficult for ordinary people to deal with. Advertisement. Fortunately, these two puppets are not taboos, they can only be regarded as the best of the puppets. They still take a strange route, and the attack method is just poisoned at the blade, so it is naturally not a problem for the two of them. Shi Shangyang turned around abruptly after resisting the puppet, his long legs like whips, and kicked directly on the puppet's chest and abdomen, kicking the puppet to the hiding place of the opponent he had just seen. At the same time, he had completed the seal, took a deep breath, and then spit it out towards the front. Boom. The fire light instantly illuminated the surroundings, and a huge fireball took shape, like a cannonball. Next moment. Boom. The giant great fireball smashed directly into the woods in the distance, and it instantly seemed as if hundreds of detonating talismans were thrown over there. In an instant, it rose, and the fire lit up the night sky and lit a large forest at the same time. This time, the problem of the light source is solved. If you want to put out this sea of fire, you can't do it without a stronger ninjutsu. With light, for a ninja like Yuhi Mahong, everything will be no longer a secret. There. Yuhi Junhong frowned. He has already seen the hidden person in the dark. It is indeed Sand Shinobi's puppet team, but he doesn't know how many people there are, because the ones shown in front of the two are not only Sand Shinobi's puppet team ninjas, but more puppet. There is too much movement here, and it is not far from the stronghold. As long as the people there are not blind, they will definitely know that there is a battle here, and reinforcements will naturally arrive soon. Shi Shangyang and Yuhi Mahong looked at each other, but they didn't speak, but they became very tacit understanding at this time. Saw. The figures of the two disappeared at the same time, and Yuhi Jinhong rushed directly to a Sand Shinobi ninja. The body was erratic, and the ninja knife was even more red, and his whole person was a little more demonic, and then at the next moment, his body turned into a red smoke and dissipated, looking very abrupt. Advertisement. Ninja tree binding. Yuhi Mahong suddenly appeared on the tree behind the target. The man just raised his hand, and a puppet flew back, but the next moment he found that his body was actually tied up by a branch. Just as surprised, he felt his neck a pain. Laugh. In the faint sound, Yuhi Mahong's figure disappeared again. As expected of teacher Junhong, it seems that I have to work hard. Compared to Yuri's redness, Shi Shangyang's movements are simply sharp and quick, without any fancy, like an electric light rushing towards another person, suddenly flipping the other hand. There is an extra short blade like a dagger, and then a chakra shimmer suddenly shot out from the short blade, and that shimmer instantly turned into the shape of a ninja blade. Puff. With a swipe, like a hot knife cutting butter, he easily cut the puppet blocking the road into 2 pieces, and Shi Shangyang turned around, like a spinning top, instantly approaching the man. Puff puff. In a small sound, Shi Shangyang's ninja knife made several openings on the man's body, and every opening was deeply visible. For the current him, Genin will make him pay attention, and obviously the guy he solved is not Genin, at most he is just a senior Chunin, and there is no threat to him. Seriously speaking, if Shi Shangyang's combat power is fully exploded and he shows all his abilities, even Genin can't be his opponent. Shi Shangyang himself is very sure of this. The two of them killed decisively and fiercely, without the slightest slack, but just one face to face, they had already thwarted each other's attack, and then brought downsizing to the other party in an instant. This is the result that a powerful ninja should have. Chapter 26 Shi Shangyang's means for flowers, score. Yuhi Mahong's movements were also not slow at all. After killing the first enemy, he swayed directly, his body was like a thin red mist, and he rushed towards the other person, extremely decisive. Only at this time did the puppet masters on Sand Shinobi's side react. Shi Shangyang and Yuhi Junhong reacted too quickly and counterattacked so decisively that their previous arrangements were useless. In between, 2 people were lost, which is really not a small loss. If the status quo is not changed at this time, and the people from the Konoha stronghold rush over, they will be in danger. They came for a sneak attack, but they didn't think about having an encounter. Retreat. The leader of Sand Shinobi's puppet master is also extremely decisive. Seeing that the situation is not good, he has no intention of entanglement with Shi Shangyang. Those who fail at the end have no hope of success at all. Want to go? Seeing this, Shi Shangyang sneered. If he hadn't reacted at the critical moment, maybe Konoha would have suffered a huge loss this time. He doesn't care if other people are dead or not. He only knows that these people are raised in his sheepfold. If you want to move your own sheep, you must first ask yourself whether you agree or not. Teacher Junhong, get out of the way, he said suddenly. Although Yuhi Mahong didn't understand why Shi Shangyang said this, but the figure that rushed forward suddenly froze, and then he lashed towards the other side without hesitation. He chose to believe in Shi Shangyang. Then Shi Shangyang suddenly waved his hands in succession, and one after another kunai shot out, and the end of the kunai was connected with silk threads. These kunai collided with each other in midair, changing their flight trajectory, making it unpredictable. Shi Shangyang had already discovered all the enemies on the scene at this time, and he had a way to deal with it just by taking a glance. If you look closely at this time, it is not difficult to find that his eyes have become Sharingan, but at this time he is slightly squinting, and the fire is flickering, so people don't pay too much attention. Advertisement. Sharingan's insight is unparalleled, especially in terms of dynamic vision. It has the advantages of opening and hanging, which is very outstanding. Those kunai seem to be chaotic and disorderly, but in fact, the removal of each handle was arranged by Shi Shangyang early, accompanied by a burst of humming sound, as well as the clanging sound of collision. Almost in the blink of an eye, the field is densely covered with strips of steel wire. These steel wires follow the gaps between the trunks, or stick to the ground, or directly penetrate the trunks. In short, this area is formed into a dense structure like a spider web. At the same time, Shi Shangyang has finished printing. Fire-style dragon fire technique. Under his feet, he was stepping on the other end of all the wires, and then there was fire under his feet. These fires burned quickly as if they had life, and then they burned forward quickly along the wires. That speed is faster than gasoline burning, because there is chakra attached to Shi Shangyang on the steel wire, and the burning momentum is extremely strong. Because the burning was too intense, and because it burned almost at the same time, the flames soared into the sky, and there was a huge whistling sound. Boom. The air was rolling, and everything around seemed to be engulfed by flames. Not good. Hateful. This guy. The people on Sand Shinobi's side were ready to retreat, but they never expected that Shi Shangyang's means would be so quick. Those steel wires trapped them directly, and the flames were burning at this time, and they couldn't escape even if they wanted to escape. Teacher read. Shi Shangyang shouted. Advertisement. I see. Even if Shi Shangyang didn't say it clearly, Yuhi Jinhong knew what he should do at this time. His figure suddenly disappeared, and he quickly appeared in front of Sand Shinobi's retreat, waiting here quietly. Over there. Come on. Don't let these guys run away. In the woods behind Shi Shangyang, the voices of the ninjas on the Konoha side were heard at this time. Obviously, they had already noticed the movement here and rushed to reinforce them. Seeing this, the corners of Shi Shangyang's mouth were slightly raised. He had already seen through the firelight in the woods, and saw the cards from the people on Sand Shinobi's side. There were a lot of white and blue cards. Not calm. If he wants this effect, this move is not to kill the enemy, but to trap the enemy. Since the other party dares to come and make a sneak attack, then the enemy's ability is definitely not bad. It is impossible to kill several people by this method. But trapping them was no problem at all. Water-style Shui Kingbo. On Sand Shinobi's side, a stream of water suddenly gushed out, turning into a wave rushing in all directions, quickly extinguishing the flames that trapped them. None of the people who come here are weak. Even if Sand Shinobi is short of water, some of them have mastered water style. Shi Shangyang is not surprised at all. Everyone, pay attention, the people on the opposite side are all puppet masters, so be careful when you fight. Shi Shangyang reminded. A group of Konoha shinobi had already appeared behind him, and they all looked at the field with awe, just as the flames went out, and they also had a chance to enter the field. Chapter 27 I want to brush a puppet out, for flowers, score. The number of Konoha shinobi in the stronghold is quite large. There are about 20 or 30 people who can participate in the battle. The ninja who can come to the battlefield are still alive, and they are not weak. The coordination eyes are better than Shi Shangyang and Sarutobi Asuma, so after Shi Shangyang reminded them, a small team of very skilled people rushed into the battlefield. For a while, ninjutsu flew around, and fire style, water style, wind style and so on all greeted the opposite side. This is the real war, not a squad-to-squad fight. During the war, personal bravery may be able to play a role, but there are preconditions, unless the combat power of a single player has the advantage of crushing level, just like Madara in the original plot, in the Ninja Coalition, horizontal and vertical, invincible, otherwise, you can only honestly use ninjutsu to fight. Ninjas are assassins, and Sand Shinobi's puppet team is one of the best. Their role is to assassinate. The various abilities of puppets are often hard to guard against. This is also the purpose of Sand Shinobi sending them here. But when the battle is put on the bright side, this advantage no longer exists, and all they can do is to fight as hard as they can. In war, the competition is who is more patient and who is more capable of dispatching. Shi Shangyang faced the war head-on, and only then did he understand how cruel the war was. However, in just one face-to-face, there were casualties on both sides. Seeing that their side was unable to retreat, Sand Shinobi's people immediately knew the result of this battle. They were unwilling, and the fighting power that erupted was really impressive. Surprise. On the other hand, the people on Konoha's side were full of anger. Naturally, there was no need to say more about their fighting spirit. As the invaded party, they naturally tried their best to attack. The battlefield at this time is like a meat grinder, as if everyone's flesh and blood will be consumed here. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang frowned slightly. The sheep in his sheepfold were threatened, and he was still suffering losses at this time. This was unacceptable to him. Every ninja here is the cornerstone of his strengthening. How can it be so wasteful? Can't. Thinking like this, Shi Shangyang's gaze towards the Sand Shinobi puppet masters became unkind. Advertisement. Saw. He suddenly rushed towards a puppet master, and instantly appeared beside him. In his horrified eyes, he grabbed his throat, and the ninja knife in the other hand pierced into his chest, and then his body the shape disappears, and then rushes towards the next target. The whole process was extremely fast, leaving a deep impression on those who saw this scene. By the way, Shi Shangyang took the cards that those people just exploded, white and blue, there were a dozen or so in number. Dip, congratulations to the host for getting the ability card win style. Close black lens bracket. Drop, congratulations to host for getting the ability card win style. Close black lens bracket. Dip, congratulations to the host for getting the ability card win style, vacuum slash. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket drop, congratulations, close black lens bracket. As before, the blue ones are mostly ninjutsu, and the white ones are mostly ninja tools, which is not too unusual. Shi Shangyang is now able to do it without any hesitation in the face of such a harvest. What he wants to do most now is to brush some good things on these people. If he can brush out one or two puppets, it would be even better. However, Shi Shangyang also knows that puppets are the foundation of every puppet master, and they have poured too many things into them, so it is not easy to brush them out, but now it is a good opportunity. Shi Shangyang directly found the leader of Sand Shinobi's side. The guy had already killed 2 Konoha shinobi at this time, and he looked very fierce. Shi Shangyang couldn't pretend he didn't see it, so he rushed up. The other party is a middle-aged man in his 40s. He is not tall, or even a little short. He is about 1.6 meters tall. His puppet is an octopus-like thing, with fine blades on each leg, an oval head full of small holes, and regularly distributed fitting lines on it. It looks very strange. Shi Shangyang found him, but the other party was expressionless and just looked at Shi Shangyang coldly. Advertisement. Report your name, Shi Shangyang said. He. The other party didn't talk nonsense, but the octopus-like puppet attacked him directly. Several tentacles bounced silently. Chilled voice. When? Shi Shangyang resisted with a ninja knife, but those tentacles were eerily soft, like an octopus, obviously a very hard material, but what they showed now was no different from a mollusk. The tentacles only twisted slightly, and the front end poked at Shi Shangyang's body, which was really hard to prevent. But this was nothing to Shi Shangyang. His body was only short, so he squatted down, avoiding the somewhat unexpected attack, and then turned over and retreated 2 meters. After standing still, he took something out of his arms. A dark-colored goggles. When putting it on, Shi Shangyang chuckled lightly. I hope you can bring me some fun in battle like Tsushima Ryunosuke. While speaking, he had activated his Sharingan. The man on the opposite side changed his expression when he heard the words, and looked at Shi Shangyang with a look of surprise in his eyes. Chapter 28 8 Inner Gates, Open. Ask for flowers, score. How did you know about Tsushima Ryunosuke? The man asked in a hoarse voice. Shi Shangyang just chuckled. Is it a surprise? It's right, because I killed that guy. Impossible. The man denied directly. As a companion, that person was naturally aware of Tsushima Ryunosuke's strength. He was the same as him as the puppet team leader, so it was impossible for him to die silently in Konoha. Don't believe it. Shi Shangyang flicked the knife and made a loud noise, and then said, let me think about it. That guy seems to have transformed his body. It should be partially transformed into a puppet. By the way, his puppet is what's going on. Spider right. The man's face was very ugly, especially after hearing what Shi Shangyang said. He was convinced of the truth of what he said, and it was precisely because of this that he was a little unacceptable. The guy in front of him is not even 12 years old, and he is just a kid no matter where he is, but now this kid says he killed Tsushima Ryunosuke. How can he understand and accept this? Then next, please give me more advice. When the words fell, Shi Shangyang stepped forward and slashed at the opponent with one knife. Clang. The ferocious slash was immediately blocked by the octopus-like puppet, and several tentacles also attacked him. But Shi Shangyang seemed to be unaware, letting those feet approach him, but at the moment when he approached, his body suddenly moved. His movements were very small, just like he is now, but he raised his arms slightly, and easily avoided the entanglement of 1 foot, and at the same time leaned slightly, and easily let go of 2 feet. It wasn't over yet. Shi Shangyang turned his body around, then lifted 1 leg, and the other 3 touching feet were easily avoided. Advertisement. All of this seems to have been precisely calculated by Shi Shangyang. What kind of action needs to be used, how much force to use, and even how much to achieve, all of them show terrible insight. This is naturally the role of the 3-tomo Sharingan. Under the goggles, his eyes swayed quickly, accurately grasping every moment of change, without letting go of the slightest. But these people don't know, so in the eyes of that person, it gives him the feeling that Shi Shangyang has extremely terrifying insight and action, and as if he has an unparalleled understanding of his own puppet manipulation, let him subconsciously, there was a chill. I have to say that that person is indeed an elite puppet master. In the face of this situation, if it is replaced by another ninja, it is estimated that the attack will be increased, but he did not hesitate and immediately flew back. Who the hell are you? He asked. Shi Shangyang said with a smile, I'm going to Shi Shangyang, Konoha Chunin, how about you? The man frowned and his face was even more ugly. He had already discovered Shi Shangyang's difficulty, but the first fight had already made him sure that if he wanted to defeat Shi Shangyang, he might have to pay a huge price. Remember my name, Masahiro Tamura, this is the name of the person who killed you. Even if he was already resigned, but at this time, he couldn't allow him to have the slightest chance of luck, so he had already prepared for the worst, but the cruel words should not be less at all. It is customary for ninjas to fight. Really, I'm really looking forward to it. When Shi Shangyang finished speaking, he slammed one hand, and several shuriken flew out rapidly, colliding in midair, changing their paths. Uchiha flow. Tamura squinted his eyes wide and said subconsciously. After that, the octopus puppet fell back behind him, its big head was suddenly attached to its back, and its 8 tentacles spread out, as if there were 8 extra arms on his back, with various twists and turns. The movement trembled, shooting down the shuriken that were attacking him from all directions, and the whole process was very straightforward. Advertisement. Being able to call out Uchiha's name accurately also shows that Tamura Masahiro has fought with Uchiha's ninjas in the past, and he is very aware of this unique throwing method of ninja tools, which makes Shi Shangyang a little surprised. That's right, it seems that your excellency is really well informed, so what? Shi Shangyang grinned, and a heat wave suddenly surged from his body, and steam-like heat spurted out of him. Call. The next moment, his figure suddenly appeared in front of Masahiro Tamura, and at that speed, Masakura Tamura's pupils shrank sharply. What appeared in front of him was Shi Shangyang's raised whip leg, which was so fast that Tamura Masahiro couldn't react at all. The latter could only try to control the puppet to wrap himself, and then he felt his body shaking violently, and then the whole person was like a cannonball. Usually fly out. 8 inner gates, open the door, open. Shi Shangyang retreated slightly, but stopped in place for a moment, and then rushed forward like a cheetah. Wherever he passed, the air was torn by him, and a gust of wind was blown up. This was the first time he only used 8 inner gates in actual combat, and he immediately felt the improvement of 8 inner gates. Ka ka ka. Tamura Masahiro was shocked at this time, and the overwhelmed voice of his puppet came from his ears. The puppet was originally made of hard materials, but now there are cracks, which made him extremely horrified. Through the gap where the puppet touched his feet, he saw Shi Shangyang rushing towards him, and his heart sank immediately. Chapter 29 2 Purple Cards, for Flowers, Score. Seeing this, Tamura Masahiro could only control the puppet to lift up 8 tentacles and shoot the flying needles on the tentacles towards Shi Shangyang. But a scene that shocked him appeared. Those poisonous needles quickly attacked Shi Shangyang, but the moment they approached him, they were blown away by the wind pressure on his body. The next moment, Shi Shangyang's fist was enlarged in front of his eyes. Tamura Masahiro only had time to let the puppet touch his feet to retract it, stand in front of him, and bend his arms to cover his eyes. Boom. Whoa. The puppet fragments flying all over the sky. Shi Shangyang's fist pierced through the fragments and smashed straight on Tamura Masahiro's arms. With a sudden bang, the latter flew backwards again, but this time more than before. Embarrassed. Boom. Tamura was flying upside down more than 10 meters wide, and it was only when he hit the trunk of a thick wood, it hit it into a depression, the trunk trembled, and the leaves flying all over the sky. Shi Shangyang stood still, frowned and looked down at his right hand, blood dripping from the knuckles on the back of his hand. Is it still a bit reluctant? Shi Shangyang can easily open 8 inner gates, this is because he has Might Guy's 8 inner gates experience, and is also deep purple card experience. But he didn't get the toughness and strength of Might Guy's tempered body, so the punch he just raised, although it shattered a few of the puppet's tentacles, it also injured the back of his hand. I just don't know if this type of card can be released in the future. If there is no such type of card, I guess I can only exercise by myself. Shi Shangyang thought so, but looked up at Tamura Masahiro, who had already buckled himself from the tree trunk at this time, and his arms trembled slightly after landing. Obviously, under the punch just now, even with the help of a puppet resist, his arms are also uncomfortable. Is it Konoha's 8 inner gates? Tamura said in a deep voice. Advertisement. As expected of elite Genin, he really knows all kinds of information about Konoha. Shi Shangyang didn't hide this, he nodded with a smile, and then pulled his hand sharply. Tamura Masakuru's complexion changed drastically, he looked down subconsciously, but saw that he had been wrapped with steel wire around his waist at some point. When? He couldn't help but be alarmed. He was always vigilant from beginning to end, especially after he found out that the opponent would use Uchiha-style throwing. He was already guessing whether the opponent was a genius of the Uchiha clan, but that 8 inner gates physical technique, but made him suspicious. In fact, at this stage, 8 inner gates is not well known among Konoha, it can only be regarded as a very small genre, and most of the practitioners are some civilian ninjas, but such information still cannot be kept secret and is known by Tamura Masahiro not surprisingly. The Battle of 8 Inner Gates fame was the battle between Might Guy's father, Might Dai, and Mist Shinobi's ninja sword, Little Fame. And now, that battle hasn't happened yet. The characteristics of 8 inner gates are very distinct, that is, to increase the combat power. Shi Shangyang's performance just now was seen by Tamura Masahiro that he used 8 inner gates, which made him doubt whether Shi Shangyang is really the Uchiha family. It was just such a change in mentality that Shi Shangyang had anticipated in advance, and when he was suspicious and shocked, he used a special steel wire. In fact, it cannot be said to be predicted in advance. To be precise, it is just an attempt. It is best to succeed. If it fails, it is just a waste of steel wire. Anyway, it can be recycled after the event. Ninja fighting is like this, using everything to create powerful fighting conditions for himself. Shi Shangyang can even be said to be a natural ninja. With such a mentality and calm attitude, even if he has no system, he can still use his own efforts, become a real ninja. Pull away. At this time, Masahiro Tamura's complexion changed drastically, and he struggled in midair, pulling out his kunai to cut off the wire wrapped around his waist. He did this, and at the same time succeeded. The wire was easily cut by him. Advertisement. But Tamura Masahiro couldn't control his body to stop. Shi Shangyang's pull just now made him rise into the air. He was in the air but had nowhere to help. He could only manipulate the puppet and use the remaining few touches. Attack. The best defense is to attack, and Shi Shangyang is still in the 8 inner gate state. Tamura Masahiro knows that he can't resist Shi Shangyang's attack in this situation. It is better to attack directly. But the next moment, Tamura Masahiro widened his eyes and looked down at the blade on his chest. What? When? Behind him, another Shi Shangyang showed his head, calmly pulled out his ninja knife, and grinned. Oh, at the very beginning. When the words fell, this Shi Shangyang turned into white smoke and exploded with a bang, and only the ninja's sword fell to the ground. Boom. Masahiro Tamura fell from midair and landed 2 meters in front of Shi Shangyang. He opened his mouth slightly, but blood gushed out from his mouth, making him unable to speak at all. The knife Shi Shangyang had just stabbed his heart in the opposite direction. Shi Shangyang walked towards him with a smile, stood in front of him, bowed his head. Thank you very much. Tamura was wide-eyed and puzzled. He didn't know why Shi Shangyang wanted to thank him, but he didn't know that in Shi Shangyang's sight, there were 2 purple cards floating on the ground. Of Chapter 30 Harvest Fine Puppets, for Flowers, Score. With 2 purple cards, and the colors were not light, Shi Shangyang was instantly overjoyed. From the beginning of the design to the present, the guy who was forced by him was emotionally turbulent and finally got something. Without any hesitation, he put the 2 cards away as soon as he thought about it. Drop. Congratulations to the host for getting the item card puppet 8 juveniles. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the ability card and puppet manufacturing experience proficiency. Close black lens bracket. Dip. Congratulations to the item card and puppet 8 juveniles obtained by the host, which has been increased by 4 times, and has been upgraded to item card and fine puppet 8 juveniles. Dip. Congratulations to host for obtaining an 8-fold increase in the ability card and puppet manufacturing experience proficient, which has been upgraded to ability card and puppet manufacturing experience perfect. A big win without a doubt. Needless to say about the former, the 8 juvenile fish is the puppet used by Tamura Masahiro. As far as this puppet is concerned, it is rare to be placed in the entire Sand Shinobi, but in the evaluation of the system, it is only marked with its name, but what Shi Shangyang cares about is the change after the increase of 4 times. The system adds the word, boutique, in front of the name. The product produced by the system must be a high-quality product. Now even the system has to be marked with a high-quality puppet. Where will it be? However, because he was still on the battlefield, Shi Shangyang didn't intend to use it directly, so he kept it in the card bag and took it out later when he had a chance. Advertisement. The second card made him even more happy. He already has the puppet manipulation technique, and he is still at the Grandmaster level. He knows how to use the chakra line to control the puppet, and the 8 children have made up for the fact that he has no puppet, and now even the creation of the puppet experience is there. The key is that this card was originally a dark purple card. After being multiplied by 8 times, it directly became a golden card, and a golden card often represents perfection, so this ability is ultimately a perfect state, which is a little bit of Shi Shangyang. Not surprised, but very happy. Without hesitation, he used this card directly, and then he felt his brain swell, because suddenly there was a lot of knowledge in his mind. The knowledge was very unfamiliar to him, but because he knew it, and instantly became familiar with it. It felt as if he had learned and used it countless times. He knew all the skills of puppet making, and it would not seem abrupt to call him a puppet maker now. All in all, the harvest this time was great for him. In a happy mood, he turned to look at those Sand Shinobi ninjas with a lot of kindness, especially when he saw that there were many more cards in the field. The smile is more pleasant. When these guys saw him beheading Tamura Masahiro, it was inevitable, and there were no cards dropped from Konoha. The only one who dropped cards was Yuhi Junhong, because he had recognized Tamura Masahiro, but was surprised that Shi Shangyang beheaded him. However, what Yuhi Junhong released was a blue card. Obviously, he has some immunity to similar shocks. It is estimated that if Shi Shangyang comes back so many times, Yuhi Junhong will not have any more emotional fluctuations. How to solve worries, only get rich. Shi Shangyang naturally collected these cards without hesitation, and immediately became happy. All blue cards. Advertisement. More than half of them are ninjutsu, and there are also 5 item cards, 3 of which are ninja tools, and the other 2 are puppets. The names are not bad, but they are all blue level puppets. Naturally, they are not as good as the 8 juveniles of the fine puppets, but they can also be used for Shi Shangyang. In the future, he will be regarded as a puppet master. This kind of result makes people very happy. Shi Shangyang is absolutely grateful to these Sand Shinobi puppets. These people are a little exaggerated, but they have traveled a long distance and brought him so much wool in the dead of night. He naturally has to thank him, otherwise it would not be beautiful if someone said that he didn't know how to treat guests. Then, he rushed towards the nearest enemy. With his current ability, only a ninja at the level of Genin can put pressure on him, and it is not enough for him to face him below Genin. Among the Sand Shinobi ninjas coming this time, there is another Genin besides Tamura Masahiro, but that guy has been entangled by Yuhi Mahong, and the rest are mostly Chunin or their own Chunin, so facing Shi Shangyang's attack, a ninja of this level was simply unstoppable, but in just a few breaths, Shi Shangyang was easily killed. By the way, there is no special term for Genin in this period. This thing was divided into various villages in order to better undertake tasks after the Third Ninja World War. The reason is naturally very simple, nothing more than that. It's just to charge more commissions. After all, Genin is also Genin. Since it is Genin, the commission must be higher than that of Chunin. The battle situation at this time is already very clear. With Shi Shangyang's power, the speed of clearing the remaining enemies suddenly accelerated. The unfortunate Genin who was entangled in Yuhi's real red, because of his emotional agitation, actually exploded for Shi Shangyang again. A purple card is really a pleasant surprise.